if one of the teams is doing well, like if the defense is doing well, that means it's going to be you just get to watch two people playing catch.
How dare you imply America's pastime isn't actually that much fun to watch, Henry? How dare you? I put up a lot of anti-America talk on this podcast, but baseball? Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of boring as hell to watch these days, but baseball?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's one of those things when it's played well, in a certain sense.
You live in the city of the Dodgers!
It's just two people playing catch. I mean, it's like in golf.
Yes, it is.
The point of golf is to play less. It's like, you want to hit the ball less. You want to actually play less.
So my fondness with golf has nothing to do with the actual sport and everything to do with one of my friends I had growing up was, like, despite all odds, a weirdly good golfer. And we would go to public golf courses dressed as, like, shitty metalheads and hustle people. And, like, he was good enough that, like, he'd show up, like, part of the joke was, like, we had, like, a fucking, like, crowbar and a tire iron in his golf bag. Like, we were everything we could do to make ourselves look like terrible golfers, we would be there doing. And I wish Liquid Death existed back then, because, like, that's what we would have been drinking the entire time. Like, we put effort into kind of making ourselves look terrible at the sport. And he would be like, okay, so, you got any advice on this hole, Charlie? I think you need to take this sticky thing and whack the ball as hard as you can at the whole thing in the ground. Solid plan, solid plan. Which stick should you use? I don't know. The putter. All right, we're driving with the putter. Cool. But he was good enough he could do it.
Well, it's like, be like Happy Gilmore or Casey Jones, keep a hockey stick in your golf bag.
Yeah, that was kind of the gimmick, yes. I think we had a hockey stick in the bag at one point just to fuck with people, yeah. The goal was essentially, like, we may lose money, but man, are these people gonna feel weird. Hello and welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast, episode 176. Oh, good God, what are we doing with our lives? There's literally over 100 hours, probably close to like 300 hours of this podcast out there. What have we done? Math.
So if everybody wants to catch up, it's just 300 hours worth of us talking, well, most of us talking about games.
Is it calculated 300 hours?
I don't know. I'm just kind of going off of, like, most of our episodes are about not 200, about 2 hours long, give or take, and there's 156 of them. Like, at 150, we were already at 3 hours, so 176, we're definitely at kind of 300 hours.
Yep.
Scary to think about,
You have too much time on the weekend.
Apparently. This is what Idle Hands gets you, this goddamn podcast.
Yep.
Welcome to the Wicked Awesome Idle Hands podcast.
I would also love to hear from someone, like, going through the backlogs of this podcast, like, it's like the slow dissolve into insanity that is my cynicism. Man, this Jeff guy is great. Hope he's around for a while. Oh, no, he's leaving. Wonder how long Alex remained upbeat and optimistic. Oh, no! Star Trek!
That's right.
Why the fuck does Alex hate Pod Pockets? Yes, welcome. I'm not sure why we're reminiscing this much. Welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast. As always, I'm Charlie, a.k.a. Mordak, joined by Alex, a.k.a. Mave Online, a.k.a. fucking references to terrible commercials that no one but him remembers because, and...
I know exactly what commercial you're talking about. You need to leave that Starburst commercial alone. That commercial was fucking genius.
No. And we're also, not that he's any lesser than Alex, but I have less to make fun of him for. We're also joined by Henry, a.k.a. not Mave Online, a.k.a. Nomad Har, a.k.a. Kraken Zero, a.k.a. You got any more names these days?
No. not at the moment.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Podcast. Who wants to go first with weeks? We are in a silly mood, it seems.
Well, I mean, yours is the biggest one. Let's get you all squared away, to be honest with you. I mean, you did something kind of big, not really too big, though. I mean, what do you think?
I played the Outer Worlds, yeah, that's pretty big. It's okay, I guess.
Sorry. One sec.
I really hope I edit this stuff out.
Yeah,
Or at least tone you down some for that. I'm not sure I will, because it adds to my enjoyment, but flavor. Yes, for those who don't remember, we didn't have a podcast up last week because I got married. These two chuckleheads were in attendance. It was a lot of fun. I would recommend getting married if that's something you're into. I might also recommend doing less of the planning yourself, which me and my wife Jen chose not to do. We organized all of it ourselves, and we're like doing roadie stuff up until like 30 minutes. Fuck! I had Alex dumping iced tea into a container like 5 minutes before we walked down the aisle.
Yeah,
it was
great too because
it was very.
It's actually really funny because he just like walked up. He's like, "I need your help." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Grab those bottles of water and tea." I'm like, "Okay," and then.
Don't ask questions about it.
Yeah,
okay.
It was very much one of those
poor motherfucker.
Don't ask questions, just grab that stuff. Now dump it in here. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Like all of it? He's like, yes. Now keep going.
It's very important.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, ultimately. I think this is the first time that everyone involved in SWS, or some good studios at least, has like been all in one place at once.
Yeah. We even got a picture.
Yeah.
We even got a picture together.
I'll have to send you guys the picture, and I also have a video of us, we'll say, cue the metal, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. We oh, no, I have to play the metal. I have to play the music now. Why would you say that now, Alex?
The podcast is over.
Yep.
I know. Wedding's fun. It's weird, because I suspect you two actually remember my wedding in some ways better than me and Jen do, because we had to fucking, like, run around with chickens. We didn't eat that. Every stereotype of weddings, like, oh, the bride and groom don't get to eat the food they paid for. Fucking true.
I've been to a few weddings, and I will tell you for a fact that's a thing. I had a friend of mine who got married a couple years ago, and they had bought tons of food. They actually had one of my cousins cater the event, and once everything was kind of set and done, and things were close to packing up, my friend or the groom's mom told the caterer, whatever food is left, just go ahead and pack it up and give it to the homeless, like as a nice gesture. And so later on, he's coming to grab some food. And it's like, oh no, that's packed up and it's being taken to like a homeless shelter or something right now. And he's like, what? I didn't get to eat any of my food. He was really
womp womp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we took all of our food home, and we took all of our leftovers home because we fucking paid for it. We didn't want to do grocery shopping for a couple of weeks. But it's probably the most kind of us thing from the entire wedding was we had a roast pig.
Which was
an entire roast pig.
An entire roast pig. I think it was like a 40-pound roast pig or something. And you goddamn vultures, well, I guess not Henry because he's vegetarian, but you goddamn vulture, Alex, and the rest of the people that ate meat there only ate about like half of the pig, which into itself is pretty impressive. So we were prepared for this, and we brought one of my kind of ridiculous cleaving weapons, and the head of the pig is currently in my garage fridge, and then I got to spend like 20 minutes deboning all of the meat from the pig, which also, like, if I'm going to end a wedding one way, it's going to be ripping meat off of bones, apparently, because that's what happened, ultimately. It's just wielding a cleaver like a crazy person, just chopping, like, rib segments up into manageable parts so they could be de-meated. On the flip side, I have a shit ton of delicious pork in my fridge, but, like this was some, like, Cannibal Corpse, like, person like ravishingly like ripping apart just a pig, like chewing chunks and ripping other parts off and throwing it in a container so we could take it home. It was nuts. Like, it's the yes, I am married now. Ramp, crack them bones.
It's
horror movies.
I will say it was very interesting because we were at the table and we like Henry and I saw the pig, and we're like, if anybody's
Yep.
gonna have a giant pig for the wedding as part of like the eating, it's gonna be Charlie. And we were all just kind of, yep,
Yeah.
no, this is very much a Charlie
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And we
This tracks.
asked around the room, or around the table, and they're like, yep, nope, that sounds pretty right. I'd be surprised if there wasn't a pig here.
Yeah. Like, you gotta, like, the pig was no accident either. Like, it's one of those things where, like, not to spend too much time on the wedding stuff, but, like, this is probably one of the funnier parts of it. When you're planning it all yourself, you have to have a bunch of weird conversations, like, okay, what do you want to do for catering? And if you ask me the dumb question of, like, in an ideal world, what do we serve at the wedding? I will ultimately say something like, some type of roast large animal, and, like, we started off with, like, deer or something. It turns out deer roasts are fucking expensive. Like, prohibitively expensive. So then you drop down to more normal stuff, like pig. And that, like, greatly reduces the number of caterers you're looking at, so then you wind up, like, it becomes kind of its own self-filtering situation of, like, okay, what of you fuckers can handle a roast pig? Tick, 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 tick. Okay, we're down to 5 people. Awesome. Hope one of you 5 is within budget. And we fucking loved the caterer we went with, which was awesome, man. Roast pig. Roast pig. Pig. Yeah. No, it's dumb stuff. Like, me and Jen realized, like, at the end of the night, we're like, I have eaten a couple handfuls of pork and some cake today, I think. So hungry. More terrifying was the amount of booze drank at our wedding. That was... Holy shit, that was a little bit scary.
Yeah, I was wondering, because you had bought quite a bit, and I was like, is everybody actually going to drink this?
So, we bought more than we thought we were going to need by a pretty sizable factor. Like, math-wise, I think we bought, like, I want to say, like, 30 bottles of wine, because we had 6 tables and stuff, and I think kind of total, like, 3 or 4 packs of, like, canned beverage, if you will. We left with, like, maybe 8 bottles of wine and, like, very little beer. Like, it was mostly Stella stuff, which we threw in there for the less adventurous folks. Like, all the cider, all the White Claw, all the weirder beer, fucking gone. Just, like, vacuumed the fuck up. Like, the White Claw was in there mostly as a joke, but, like, that was gone.
Oh, people seem to love that. I'm still
happy it got
I'm still
consumed.
wary about drinking, and I'm not sure what to think about it. So,
As you should be. Like, it's... On one hand, it's no more sinister than, like, a vodka tonic. On the other hand, it is essentially carbonated alcohol water, which is something we all should be worried about. Yeah.
but I personally just really liked the wedding. I think you guys did an awesome job. I think it was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Everything about it was just awesome. Even the view. I mean, it was just really, really great.
Oh, yeah, no. We played a bunch of things close to the vest just because we were kind of, like... There were plenty of surprises as part of the wedding where it's like, okay, we have this really nice venue that, like, it doesn't not make sense we would find it, but at the same time, it's like, how the fuck did you find a place with this type of view and stuff like that? Like, there's definitely kind of, like, shock value is the wrong word, but, like, a bunch of the stuff was like, we're not going to talk about a bunch of the parts of the wedding until people are there, so they can be like, what the shit?
Yeah.
How the hell did you two pull this off? Yeah.
Even had good vegetarian food.
We worked hard for you.
And I appreciate every sacrifice.
Yeah. No, we had I'm not going to say it was a large contingent, but larger than one would expect. Like, I got a couple cousins that are vegan. Like, Jim, I think, is on a semi-vegetarian diet. It's reduced in certain categories, and he doesn't eat pork, so, like, that limits kind of certain aspects of it right off the bat for a wedding. No, as many jokes as I make about the dietary restrictive crowd, we did try to be considerate of them. That's why the White Claw is there, because you all are into weird shit apparently.
I didn't see any Pabst Blue Ribbon.
As someone who found myself drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon last night by freak accident, I remembered why there was no Pabst Blue Ribbon. Like, I'm like, all right, this stuff still sucks. Got it. Fuck everything about Pabst Blue Ribbon.
You did have Two Town Cider House, which is delicious.
Yes.
People may not know this about me. I fucking love cider. Like, it's as much as I enjoy beer, I greatly prefer cider at the end of the day. So it's like
I kind of been leaning towards that too. Actually, now that I've moved up here, I've kind of appreciated some of the cider that gets brewed up here. So
Yeah.
it's there's a nice drinkability to it, and I'm not saying beer can't be classy, but there's an inherent classiness to cider. Like this is gonna sound terrible. Drinking cider at 10 a.m. in the morning. Oh, okay, he's a man of refined taste. Drinking stout beer at 10 a.m. in the morning. That fucking degenerate alcoholic. Like, it's not a fair thing. Like, Jen has a bunch of jokes about that too, but like, cider is the mimosa of beer.
You say that. You've never been to England, then.
Oh no, I have been, and I also know it's fucking degenerate crowd there too.
Yeah.
Like, the cider I like is the degenerate crowd cider. Like, that's the one asterisk to all of this. But in the U.S. at least, it's like, yes, cider. It's made from apples, and therefore it's juice. Totally normal to have in the morning, like mimosas and screwdrivers. Is it just technically vodka? Yeah.
But yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I really enjoyed everything about the wedding. It was, in my opinion, awesome.
We tried to make it fun for the crowd.
Even if you didn't get to eat.
Yeah. We've eaten in hindsight. As I said, there's literally a pig head in a fridge in my house. It's the name of my new metal album. There's a pig head in my fridge. Or a children's book. I'm not sure which one that would be. That's like the Dead by Daylight children's book. There's a pig head in my fridge. Wedding stuff aside, I also did play a video game. I've been playing more Destiny. I played some Not Destiny.
And what Not Destiny did you play?
I already made jokes about this. The Outer Worlds, a game that, like, is weirdly near and dear to my heart. Like, it is a game I have no clue if I'll finish, because it's probably a longer game that I'm willing to put into just time-wise now, but it's really good. Like, I guess we kind of get rolling on this topic. It is not a perfect game. Like, the shooting mechanics of that game could definitely be better. There are a couple like, yep, this is definitely kind of that style RPG. It's very kind of world and story and writing focused. It's got a very dry sense of humor. And like, I'm not sure I'd recommend it to everyone, but if you're of that crowd that enjoys the Fallouts, and I guess the Skyrims, but I definitely would say more the Fallouts, because that feels like the game it's going after more than anything else. Like, that is definitely... It's from the Fallout people, and by that I mean it's not by Bethesda, it's by the people that used to make Fallout 1 and 2 and the other original Fallout games, and then made Fallout New Vegas, which, at the time that came out, I was kind of dismissive of because it wasn't Fallout 3, but in hindsight, it was the best of the modern era Fallout games, kind of hands down, despite its just rampant technical issues. But mostly this game is the answer to the question, could you make a Bethesda-style open-world RPG game and have it just work a hell of a lot better than Bethesda's been able to pull off? And the answer is yeah, apparently it's totally doable. And it's great when it works better. Like, it comes with a couple sacrifices. There's not like a billion baskets, and like, there's not just fucking free-form items everywhere. You can't pick everything up if you want to. Like, it's not that type of game, etc., etc. Like, you're not knocking over your consumables by being like, meh! Like, it's a little more kind of like stuff's anchored down than that. It's a little more kind of curated. But as someone who has always kind of gotten mad at the Bethesda fan crowd, where it's like, well, you can't have a game not broken and have this level of immersion. You totally can. It's just not quite as immersive, and I don't miss it at all. Like,
yeah.
The Bethesda physics-y stuff, it's like, oh, it's so cool. It's not. Fuck that shit. Like,
You mean the super broken physics that make no sense?
Yeah, and it feels like I'm talking weirdly about this game. I'll get into kind of more of what the actual game is, but like, it's 100% worth saying as someone who like came away from Fallout 4 going, I am not playing another game from Bethesda of this style until they fucking fix their engine, to play what is essentially someone doing exactly that sentence. And like, sacrifices had to be made. Like, I get it. Like, some people are gonna be like, "Oh, I can't pick up baskets and put on." I go to that thing because that's the thing that stands out to me the most from Skyrim, which I fucking hated in hindsight because of like the glitches that caused. Like, I get it. Like, if you really want that, fine, whatever. It's not in this game. It's like, oh, I want the immersion to do weird things, but that's not immersion. You're breaking the game because the game's not smart enough to understand. I have a thing on my head. This is still a game where you can fucking rob people blind by just closing a door to break eye line, and there you go, kind of thing. Like, it's still that type of game, but I have yet to fall through the world. It runs a hell of a lot smoother on my PS4 than Skyrim ever did, kind of thing. Like, I'm having a lot of fun. I don't open a door and go, maybe the game's about to crash, maybe it won't. I don't know. Which I cannot say about other games I've played in the franchise. It's weird, because this is so much a spiritual successor to the kind of modern Fallout games. You almost want to call this game Fallout 5 or Fallout in Space. Like that, it is. If you're a fan of the Fallout games, you will fucking love this game. It's real good, and like in a time of game companies getting out there and saying like, "Oh, our game's not political. If there's something to say in the game that's more up for the player to decide on it," kind of thing. This game has fucking things to say right off the bat and is unapologetic about just being up in your face about it relentlessly. And
I appreciate that.
Again, yeah, it's some people will find this polarizing. I find it to be a fantastic kind of narrative choice. Like, so I'm not crazy far in the game because I'm just kind of mucking around, doing stuff, talking to people, exploring things. But so the first planet. You start off the game on a giant derelict spaceship called the Hope. You were kind of part of a colonization effort that it's unclear exactly what happened, but you and I think it's like a couple of 100,000 other humans were put on this ship and shipped off to the colony worlds. And I think this is part of the story of the game, what exactly the explanation is, but they chose never to unfreeze you, essentially. And it's been about like 70, 80 years since you arrived in the system, and you've essentially been lost. And the implication is either something weird happened with the system and the powers that be either wrote you off, or they realized they were going to have an overpopulation problem and just kind of chose to let you drift. Because bottom line and stuff. And that idea leads directly into what this game is about. The first world you land on has the main hub of Edgewater, owned by Spacer's Choice, and it is kind of the idea of a Union town taking to what some people may view as the illogical extreme, but the very real world. If this is if we were colonizing space and we still had the concept of Union towns, what you would fucking get ultimately. It's the only major town on the planet, and everyone is fucking spouting off the company byline, which is, or a company motto, which is like, it's not the best choice, it's Spacer's Choice. And like little details you learn, like the first interaction you have with Spacer's Choice is like a security guard bemoaning the fact that his gun just shot him. Like, Spacer's Choice is not the best choice. There's a variety of jokes in the game about how they're like 70% less defective and shit. Like, through some side quests you go through, you learn that like just some real fucked up stuff about Spacer's Choice. Like the planet you're on, one of the most profitable industries is the grave digging industry, because the people that work for Spacer's Choice are renting their plot of land up until they die and kind of have a reservation stuff. They get thrown in a ditch. And to commit suicide is to destroy company resources, and that gets taken out on the entire company kind of outpost and stuff. Like, there's all this kind of just incredibly scummy, anti-corporate stuff going on the planet, which is really cool. Like, the main plot of the planet is you get sent to basically bring in a bunch of people that I've not done this yet, so I don't really know how the story plays out, but you were getting sent to basically shut off power for a bunch of defectors who said, nah, fuck this shit, and left, and are kind of doing their own deserter thing out in like an abandoned
that's kind of weird
facilities.
Because I don't know. It's like, and I just want to interject here. It's like that doesn't sound like a union at all. Unions aren't owned by one company. That's.
Oh no, and I meant more the Uniontown aspect of like everything in this town is provided by. Company store, I guess is made like company town. I probably shouldn't have used the word Uniontown for this. Like it's that like 50s era, the only place to buy stuff is from the company store with like, it's not quite company dollars, but it might as
Yeah,
well be to a certain
corporatist.
extent.
That's not union at all. I'm like, that sounds like the opposite of a union.
I misspoke. I used the wrong phrasing for you. I meant like company store stuff. My bad. Apologies for the confusion on that. But yeah, like it's real interesting. Like, and the game has essentially 3 types of enemies. You have kind of humans, automatics, which are robots, and the kind of like the local inhabitants of the planets, which are kind of called primals, which are big, terrifying beasties. Like I said, I'm not crazy far in the game. I just kind of spent time mucking around, just kind of getting to know people, talking to people, doing side quests. So far, I'm really enjoying the game. There's no VATS. There's time dilation, which I would argue maybe works a little bit better. You drop into super slow mode. If you are good at first-person shooters, you may find the kind of second-to-second gameplay a little bit janky, but also like completely forgivably janky.
So is that a bit like the way like Red Dead Redemption 2's thing works? You know, the Deadeye?
You can't paint targets, but yeah, it drops you into slow-mo, and you can fucking nail headshots and stuff pretty easily as part of it. Yeah, the gunplay is really forgiving. There's an arc to it that I've heard about. I've not experienced it yet, but like the first 4 hours of the game, combat can be pretty hard, and then you get over a hump, and combat becomes kind of trivial almost, which I'm kind of looking forward to. Like, if there's one part of the game I don't enjoy as much as the rest of it, it's definitely the combat. Like, it's there, it's fine. I kind of wish we had VATS just so you could power through it, but also, like, what you have is totally serviceable, and they've managed to make melee combat in a first-person game work better than Skyrim, so what the fuck do I care? And it kind of plays back to the character customization detail is really cool. Like, you start the game off, you're building a character, and you're essentially pulling someone from, and a lot of people have talked about this aspect, like the idea that you're not making a character, one of the main characters is just kind of like identifying someone on the derelict ship with like the right tests or the right stats based on kind of personality traits and stuff like that. And there are major benefits from making like a dumb character, because like the game plays dialogue wise and kind of like what you can talk to people about wise completely different if you build a below average intelligence character, but you can also build like a low intelligence like savant ass technology and medical character in the game, like totally lets you do stuff like that, but also gives you like fun dialogue based around that. You're not speaking ever, it's pulling from like a dialogue tree, or not tree, but like a menu you can kind of click through. And
I can only think of one other game that did that, that to my recollection, Planescape Torment.
Yeah,
if you were dumb in that game, you got completely different like prompts and things that you have the option to say. So, but it's cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I play it in kind of intervals, I guess, like unlike Destiny, which I just marathon for chunks of time. Like this is okay, I'm gonna play 3 hours of this, I'm gonna put it down, I'm gonna come back to it in a little bit. Like I'm enjoying savoring it. There's a lot of kind of cool spoilery stuff I can get into. I'm trying to avoid for the time being because it is cool and it like has more impact when you experience it the first time. A comparison I've heard thrown around a bunch, and I think it's a good one, is it feels kind of like a Mass Effect Fallout hybrid. Like the one criticism you can maybe lob at this game that I don't think is a criticism, I think it's a conscientious design choice, is it's not one giant connected world. Like, it's segmented off into different planets you go to, and they're kind of zoned in to a certain extent, and it allows for a more curated kind of intimate experience, I guess. Like, you're not exploring the wastelands, you're exploring kind of the area around this settlement to do stuff. And it's still a pretty big area, it's just not like all of the Skyrim map or all the Fallout 4 map. Like, but there's multiple maps to do it on, so it probably winds up being about the same, quote, square acreage you're used to from those types of games, just you can't walk from one side of the map to the other continuously. You have to go from planet to planet, which I don't hate, in all honesty. Like, it
is the Outer Worlds, plural, so that makes sense.
Yep.
And it makes sense that you wouldn't want to just map out an entire planet if you don't really have anything to fill it with.
We were hanging out yesterday, we talked about this some. Like, as someone who has found the Skyrim games and the Fallout games increasingly kind of empty feeling and just like a yup, you're walking for a chunk of time and not enjoying that. Like, Fallout 4, I remember very distinctly having the reaction of, like, man, I wish I had a motorcycle or a car or something. Like, the idea of, I need something to get around this world faster. It's like, oh, you can fast. I'm like, no, I want something for kind of fast, like, faster traversal on foot. I want to see all this shit, but this walking thing is getting old real quick. I think get it. There's a bunch of in-world explanations for it. There's something to be said for, like, yeah, you're still walking around some, but, like, nowhere near as much. And I get it. Like, some people are like, oh, I want that distance and blah, 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 blah. And I totally get that that is for some people. I respect that choice, etc., etc. It's sort of kind of like busy work where it's like, yep, we have to hide these loading times somehow in this world. And even when it loads, shit happens. Like, this feels in some ways more polished than a Bethesda game has in a long time. Like, especially someone who found Fallout 4 kind of just generally insulting. I'm a big fan of the Outer Worlds. Like, I have plenty of good things to say, and even the bad things I have to say are like, yeah, the combat, like the shooting in this game isn't Call of Duty or Destiny or even like Gears of War good. It's fine. It's still like it's on par with most it's as good as an RPG shooting game needs to be kind of thing. The guns feel good. I may have broken combat a little bit by like I've stumbled into some really good weapons by accident, so that's made combat actually a lot more fun. Like it's stats matter for better or worse kind of thing. If you're looking for lots of lock picking or kind of hacking mini games, this is not the game for you. They're like, no, you know how to hack or you don't, and I personally like that because in previous games like this, I found myself being like, oh man, I wish I could hack, but I hate the hacking mini games, so I'm not going to put any points into hacking. Nothing but lock picking because I find that mini game serviceable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the way this game handles checks is either you pass or you don't kind of thing. Like it'll hint at like, hey, if your whatever stat was a little bit higher, maybe you could have done this kind of thing. But like I've yet to fail a check, which I think is good. Like it's hey, we gave you a persuade check, you passed. No random dice roll going on there, as it should be.
Yep.
Like, hey, we said you should do this thing. Wouldn't it suck if you failed at random? And you get experience points for doing that. Like it's a nice risk reward. It's a nice rewarding system. Like, hey, you're investing in these aspects of your character. That's super cool. We like that you're going down these paths. You're like, you put these points in, it should work, kind of thing. It's kind of
I like that.
That's the Mass Effect thing, where it's like, hey, we're showing you the Paragon option. You can select the Paragon option. It'll work. We're showing you lie. Cool. You can lie.
That it rewards you for extra for actually pulling something off. So
yeah,
that's
and
cool.
That's actually kind of cool too. Where like the stats are interwoven, where it's like you can get a high intimidate stat by speccing high into strength or kind of dialogue at the start of the game. Like your hacking abilities both based on intellect and your stealthing ability, which makes a lot of sense. Like it plays around with itself in cool ways. Where, like no one stat is an obvious thing. Like heavy weapons, like heavy guns, are both influenced by dexterity and strength. Like they both play into it. Yeah, it's fucking heavy, and yeah, you need to know how to shoot. Either or. But yeah, no, I highly recommend the game. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. I very much want Henry to get around to playing this game, which he will eventually, because this is a game made for Henry.
Like I've been very vocal that I'm super hype about this game coming out.
Someone who was like, meh, maybe I'll play the Outer Worlds, maybe I won't, and then in the week leading up to its release, people were like, yo, so these Outer Worlds, and I'm like, okay, what do you got? And they're like, yo, there's this stuff, and I go, oh, I'm gonna buy that now. Apparently, that game looks real good. I'm gonna play that game. I went from 0 to 100 on that game almost instantaneously, and I have not regretted it, kind of thing. You have been maintained hype for that game, and it rewards that hype, I think, in a way that getting hype for the Fallout franchise in the past, post Bethesda taking it over, has been occasionally complicated. Yeah. this is not meant to be shitting on Bethesda constantly. We'll get to that later on in this podcast episode,
Yeah.
but you can't talk about this game without talking about Fallout because, like, in so many ways, like, as a hardcore Fallout fan, this is the game you want. And it's good, and it's kind of weird seeing someone, like, we'll talk about it some more, like, in the news, but, like, in this week of ridiculous Fallout 76 news, and Outer Worlds coming out, like, it's not only is Outer Worlds better than anything Bethesda's done in a while at this point from a kind of RPG standpoint, but the fact that you get this, like, uncomfortable reminder that Bethesda's like, yo, Fallout 76 is what people want. Outer Worlds is being like, no, we don't think it is. Obsidian, what do you got? We got this game that's a single player. Go on, I'm listening. And it's real cool. Okay, and you can beat it in 15 hours. Okay, or like 100 hours. That's quite a range. Yeah, there's
basically
stuff.
It's like the opposite of 76. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally the opposite. It's like on one, with 76, it's like even more open-ended than before.
Yeah, it's this awkwardness of, remember when EA got out there and was like, people don't care about single-player games, and then I think it was like a month later, God of War dropped and sold like 7 million copies in a month. And we were all like, look, we apparently really care about single-player games. Like, it's very much got that kind of weird vibe going on, where it's like, Obsidian could have gotten by on its own merits, but, like, because we're already mad at its direct competition kind of thing, it's like, man, this game got a real shot in the arm as a result of this, too. Which, it totally deserves that shot in the arm, because it's a real good game, but it's like, man, you already were probably gonna have a real good opening week for this game, but also, because of some bullshit that happened, you got people out there being like, Outer Worlds doesn't have this bullshit going on, that makes it better. Yeah. And last but not least, kind of to mark the, we've been married for 1 week aspect, like, me and Jen are not diehard romantics. We do believe in kind of celebrating small little milestones and things. As a joke, before we even got married, we found out that two of our favorite bands, Arch Enemy and Amon Amarth, were literally going to play a show a week after our wedding happened. We booked tickets for that, and you were getting me less than 12 hours after an Amon Amarth show, which is why I probably sound a little scraggly. And Arch Enemy, better than I've seen. Was at their best I've seen them in a long time, and Amon Amarth continues to be just a fucking wild death metal show. Like,
Nice.
They lean into their gimmick even harder than before. I've not seen that much flame at the Palladium in a long time, or ever before kind of thing. And the show ended with the lead singer, whose name I'm blanking on right now, fighting the World Serpent, which just kind of like rose up out of the stage, and
Wow.
there was Viking combat. Yeah, it was a real cool show. There's a very real chance our thumbnail this week will be a picture I took of the lead singer armed with Thor's hammer just, like, up in the mouth of this 20, 30-foot tall world serpent. They just, like, I think it's inflatable because it wasn't there the entire show, and then they went dark and kind of, like, thunder crashy lighting, and then you suddenly just fucking see this giant snake on stage. Sorry, the world serpent. It's not a snake. It's the monster that encircles the world and holds the ocean in, kind of thing, just there, and you're like, oh shit! What is happening? It was a real fun time. It was real good. Amon Amarth is still a real good band, it turns out. One of the few shows I go to that I'm like, afterwards, driving home in the car, I should listen to more Amon Amarth right now. That's enough about me. What have you two been up to?
Well, let's see. I saw you get married, so that was kind of cool. It was I don't know, I know we touched on a lot of it, but, like, it was a gorgeous, like, wedding. It was really pretty out there. The venue was great and all that jazz. What's it called? The food was delicious. I don't know, like, I mean, the pork was really good, but man, that chicken and everything else they had was bomb.
One of the goals we set out with for this wedding, it's like, if you two ever choose to go down the getting married path, you will have a weird decision at some point of, do we let the food kind of be whatever? Do we, like, invest heavily in aspects of this? Like, it's, obviously we thought the food was important, and also, like, I'm not sure if you got to try our wedding cake or not, because we wound up with way too many fucking cakes. But like it was important to us to have like actually not shit wedding cake too.
Oh, I did. I had one of literally every dessert.
Fair enough.
I had a couple of different desserts, but I didn't have the actual wedding cake. I think.
No, that's completely excusable. Like our caterer took a liking to us. Like, here's 5 different cakes, and we're like, what the shit? We don't need this much cake.
Yes.
Thank you, but also, what the hell?
No, so also like one of the things I wanted to mention was like I liked the fact that like we went there was a ceremony. It's like, all right, no dancing, let's go. Like that was, I thought was kind of funny. Yeah, because it was like it was funny too because Charlie walks over. He's like, we're not dancing folk, so there's no dancing. I'm like, fair enough. I respect that.
Me and Jen are not dancey people.
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But
Fucking mill about and do whatever the fuck you want. Like, feel no break. If you wish to dance, fine. If not, cool.
So, so the one thing that was funny, I never told you any of this leading up to the wedding, but like, yeah, so Mandy and I flew out there, for the wedding. And so on the first night, we met up with my brother-in-law and my sister, and we went and got some ramen. And, as we were leaving, we had a chair fall over and it hit the grill of some dude's car in the parking lot, but it didn't do anything. It was just like something you could wipe off. And these Russian guys proceeded to try to start a fight with us over that.
Oh, crap.
So that was fun. But yeah, we just paid them and like go away kind of thing. So we had that happen the first night we flew in.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was nice. And let's see what else. So we got to our hotel. I don't know if, have I told you guys before that I sleep with a CPAP machine at night?
No, maybe you've mentioned it. I don't know.
Yeah, so I have a CPAP machine that helps me breathe when I sleep at night. I forgot it.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
So all 3 nights that I was down in LA, I could not get some good sleep because I was waking up every like 45 minutes to an hour for the most part. Which is horrible. So
yep. That sucks, man.
Yeah, it was that whole trip. Like the wedding was great, and I really enjoyed it. But everything else around the wedding, like the events and all that stuff, was just kind of weird. So, so we had the Russian thing. I forgot my CPAP. The night of the wedding, when we got down there, Mandy started getting sick. During the time we were down there, so she was a little bit sick already when we got to the wedding. Which explains why I'm sick, because I caught what she had. So, yeah. So after the wedding was done and we were on our way back to the hotel, we get to the hotel. No, sorry, this was the previous night. So we went to go have a nice thing at, because it happened to be Mandy's sister's birthday, so we had a nice fun time doing that. That was actually really cool too. We had a blast. All her sisters got together and hung out. And then we got back to our hotel and some dude hit the transformer on the block nearby and wiped out the power at the hotel.
Welcome back to LA, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. So we got back to our hotel, and we had no power until about 4:35 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. So I walk up to like the front desk to find out what happened. Dude's knocked out with his feet up on the counter with flashlights on. And it's like, so what happened? He's like, oh, yeah, somebody hit the transformer. Can't do anything.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So luckily, because they had card scanners to get into the room, they're independent of the power grid, luckily. So we were able to get into our rooms.
That could have been bad.
Oh, yeah. That could have been horrible. So,
it's the damned if you do, damned if you know that's bad, where it's like, on one hand, not getting into the room, bad. Being able to get into every room, worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I've been in that scenario.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that sounds scary. But luckily, we didn't have to do all that. We ended up, so we got back from after the wedding, got back to the hotel, got everything packed, went to sleep as much as we could, because we had to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I had to get over to my parents, because my parents work at the airport. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that before.
No.
Yeah, my dad's a chef at a hotel somewhere around there. And so I catch they start work at like 4 in the morning, like ish. So they're leaving their house usually like at 3:30, 3:15 or something to get to the airport. And so we caught a ride with them, got to the airport, got checked in, and that all went really well. So we got back and just came home. I immediately plugged my machine back up because I had it packed up sitting on my chair in front of my computer, and that's where I forgot it. So I plugged that in as soon as we got back, and we slept. Like, I literally laid down, and it was about maybe like 9. Well, we got into about 9:30. About 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11-ish is when I finally laid down to go to sleep. I didn't wake up till about 2 a.m. the next day.
Wow.
Like, literally just slept. And I was like, you know what? I woke up at 2 a.m. I'm going back to sleep. And went back to sleep and didn't wake up till about like maybe 8 o'clock, 9:30 that same day. Yeah. So, yeah. Mandy and I were both just tired. So, I in particular was super tired, obviously, because I slept. But overall, yeah, it was nice. And then, like I said, Mandy was sick, so I took care of her, and then I got sick, so I missed a couple days of work. So that part kind of sucked. But luckily, I started feeling a little bit better on Friday, which was Mandy's birthday. And so for Mandy's birthday, we went to a demolition room. You guys have ever heard of those?
I saw the pictures of this. I've wanted to go to one for a while.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So you basically, you pay, they give you a bunch of stuff to break, and you just sit there and you break a bunch of shit. Like, I got to sledgehammer a few monitors.
Nice.
Tons of glass mugs, mason jars, like old records, VHS tapes. We're actually a little surprised because I have a picture off this uploaded, but it's the biggest pile. Apparently they have the record for the tallest stacked pile of VHS tapes in the world sitting in the back. We can't grab it from that pile, but they have tons of other VHS tapes we can take. And so I broke Roger Rabbit on VHS. We broke The Sandlot and a few other ones. But yeah, it's just, they give you pay. It was actually not bad. They gave us tons of all items, and then they go over the rules. They give you everything you need. So you get all of the instruments to break with, all the stuff you can use to break, or all the stuff you're going to break. They give you like a jumpsuit, gloves, mask, obviously. And so they're like, yeah, just go ahead. You got like 45 minutes. Break all your stuff. Have fun. Lady leaves the room, cranks up a Metallica playlist, and we just start breaking stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So I guess you can choose the music you want, but we didn't know. But so they just put on Metallica, and I was cool with it. It was great. And we just proceeded to smash everything.
It's the only instance where Limp Bizkit is the correct choice. They literally have a song called Break Stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was great. Like, we broke old records, VHS tapes, cassette tapes. They had 8 tracks you could break. Like, a stack of 8-track tapes you could break if you wanted to. We broke a bunch of, like, glassware and mugs and all that. That was a lot of fun. And it's exhausting. Because you just feel so, like, it was nice because you just feel so, like, relaxed. And just, like...
Catharsis.
Yes, that's very much what it was. So we did that, and then after that, we went to go grab some food, and then the other thing I had planned for her birthday was this traveling dinosaur museum thing called Jurassic Quest. And
is that with the big, like, animatronic puppet dinosaurs?
Yes.
I know someone working on that.
Oh, well,
I am very familiar with the kind of the pictures of those things being put together. It's cool.
Yeah. It was really nice. It was smaller than I thought. I don't know why I thought it was going to be a bigger thing, but we went there. They have
an arena show linked up with them too. Like the museum thing and the arena are the same company, but like the pictures are up from the arena thing, which is like gigantic. But the museum thing's still pretty, not small, but not like gigantic either.
Yeah, no, it's pretty huge. Like, it was pretty big, but not like I expected it to be. I thought
physically, the dinosaurs are quite big.
They are actually huge, and it's actually pretty impressive because I'm like, damn, they have to put this stuff together, and then like, that's all I thought about too. Is like the work that must go into putting this stuff together was crazy. So, but yeah, no, we did that, and that was really cool. And then after that, we just kind of came back and got a bunch of different like food and things like that. Yeah, she had a very nice birthday. She's working today now, but yeah, she had a really nice birthday, which was really cool. And then we went to a place nearby that specializes in macaroni and cheese. It's like their specialty, and that's what they do.
I haven't said this well, but man, fuck Portland.
I know a few. Actually, I know a few. That's a huge thing in Portland is mac and cheese. Lots of places have their own special mac and cheese. It is a definitely a thing in Portland.
Yeah, that was surprising. So I went and got a plate called ramen mac and cheese, and the top of it is actually like prepared and set up like a bowl of ramen. So you've got like some pork slices in there. They gave you half an egg. The what are they called? They look like sprouts, but they're like long white noodles ish looking.
Oh, you're talking about bean sprouts.
There you go. Yeah. So I had and they put like the pork belly juice and all that stuff. So it tastes like ramen, but once you get under that top layer, it's mac and cheese, and it was really good. So yes, we went to this place called Mac, which was really good. So, yeah, it was interesting. It's not the other place we've been to, which is a strip club that specializes in cheap steak. So, have I told you about? I've talked about that.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Portland also has a weird thing about strip clubs too. Portland is weird.
Well, it's funny because that strip club that sells like steak and is
We've talked about this. We have an entire preamble about how it's like across the street from like a vegan strip club.
Yes,
I hate that I know this.
And then we went to a pumpkin patch thing, which was really cool at one of the farms nearby. And I keep forgetting that I live in Portland, and I don't realize how close we are to like literal farmland.
Mm-hmm.
We can buy, like, we bought some apple cider. There's places that sell like raw natural honey and all that. Apple cider donuts and a few different things like that. Like,
yeah,
it was really cool.
Yeah,
yeah. They were literally making fresh apple cider donuts, and we're like, yes, please. So,
I think if you go back to like 2016 or something, you get an episode of me talking about.
That's right. When you were
donuts, when I was in like upstate New York.
That's right. Yeah, when you were upstate New York, I remember
that.
Dude, I get it. I get it. These apple cider donuts were
real good.
They're real good.
They travel like shit, but when they're fresh, they're real good.
Yeah. So we went there. It was really nice because they had like, of course, they have like craft beer and all that other stuff, like vendors nearby. But I had Mandy and her sister had they had like strawberry lemonade mimosas, and then like another one that they had there. Like they were literally just making mimosas that were pretty cool. And I had, of course, an oatmeal stout, which was my pick. But yeah, no, overall, like it was a really good last 2 weeks. But I just thought it was kind of funny that like the hotel stay turned into what it did, considering my luck.
You
with
have
hotels.
just fantastic luck with hotels. Yeah.
Yes, this is 100% a thing. So, but yeah. Other than that, like that's pretty much been my 2 weeks.
Yeah. Henry?
So I have been continuing to play Gods Unchained.
Woo!
It's fun. I like it. And I have found out another thing that's interesting. It goes along with their sort of economy that they're trying to that's a kind of really an essential part of the game. So the card packs that you can actually buy versus just the ones you can earn, like it is an actual different set of cards that you can buy, like the Genesis cards.
Genocide?
But Genesis.
I know, I'm making bad jokes.
But yeah, they are limited. Like there's a limited number of packs that they can sell of it. Like digital, it is digital, but there again, it's like there's a whole ownership thing to it. And so it does make sense that if you're going to have permanent ownership of this stuff, that there's also a limited amount of it. And I just found that kind of interesting as well. But I mean, but the thing is, I've been perfectly capable of beating people with just the base set that you earn. just through playing. So, I mean, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but I win quite often. So, I mean, you can build perfectly good decks without buying any of the cards, and with only earning them. But in any case, yeah, I still am enjoying it. I like it. Play that instead of Hearthstone. I have been working on a May costume for the protest that's going to be going on at BlizzCon. Well, in front of BlizzCon, I should say.
Nice.
All the arrangements, all the things, like the organization for that protest is going very well. I've been doing that on Discord. If you go to like gamersforfreedom.com or like fightforthefuture.com, you'll see it. Yeah, gamersforfreedom.com will have it even has a Discord invite as a link on there. It also has an interesting listing of companies that have all right, so here's a bunch of companies. Here's the ones that haven't bowed to pressure, from the CCP, basically. And yeah, I've been working on the May costume. I've been streaming that on Twitch almost every day for the past week. I don't have a lot of time left to work on it because protest is coming up on Friday. I mean, that's BlizzCon, first day of BlizzCon, so but I've made a lot of good strides on it. I have borrowed a sewing machine to work on it. And I've already started doing a little bit of sewing with it, just more practicing a bit, but also doing just a little bit of things that need to be done. And so, but yeah, it is an awesome sewing machine. It's fully featured. It's a Project Runway branded sewing machine, but it has 40 different types of stitches that it's programmed to do. So I mean, I don't have to do any fancy work with it. It just does it for me. It's I just feed it through and it does all the work for me. So it's kind of awesome. It's very, very easy to use. So it even tells you if you don't look it up in the manual, it even tells you which presser foot you have to use with each different type of stitching setting. So yeah, I mean it's just super easy to use. But yeah, so far, I don't have a whole lot done. It's been a lot of planning and a certain amount of making. I've been working on the endothermic blaster. That's pretty much done. I just need to paint a few details on it, and that's it. But it's the costume, the actual wearable parts that are more, that's going to be the more difficult part. But there's not too much to it. It's just, I don't really sew that often. I know how to, but I don't really sew very often. I'm more of a maker person than a sewing person. I make, the gun cutting. I have a Dremel that I use that I love Dremels. They're an awesome tool. And so I've been using that extensively, and as well as just other various tools I have for it. I'll be making her backpack soon as well. It's the canister that holds the freezing stuff that she shoots. But essentially, I'm going to try to I'm making it to where it will work as a regular backpack. That is, I can open it up and I can just keep a bunch of stuff in there. So that'll be useful to have. So yeah, I have plans and everything's starting to come together. I've bought most of the parts. I'm only missing gloves at this point. I'm going to pay a visit to a few thrift shops that I know of to see if I can find them. Because I found boots. I found awesome boots for super cheap at a place called Eclectia, which is in North Hollywood. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a random assortment of odds and ends, and just there's a lot of cool stuff in there. But yeah, they happen to have a really, really good pair of snow boots that I picked up. That's going to be perfect for the costume. So yeah. If anybody wants to catch me streaming, that's twitch.tv/nomad Nomad. Yeah. And so, but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I enjoy making stuff, and I enjoy working on costumes in particular, so that's been cool. And I am looking forward to the protest. I think it's going to be very fun. It's going to be informational and fun. People are going to be giving out pamphlets, of course, but also there's going to be a t-shirt giveaway as well as little flags, Hong Kong flags. So yeah, it's going to be very cool. Other than that, I've been watching an anime called Tsurune, and it is about Kyudo. And the title
What the hell
refers
is Kudo?
Kyudo is archery. It's Japanese archery. And it's a very, very specific form of archery. Like, it's a long...
So you got to explain this. What makes it Japanese archery, I guess? Like, is it a bow style? Is it...
Yeah, well, the bow is completely different. Everything
Okay.
is completely different. Like, the way you shoot it, the way you fire it, everything is completely different from Western style. It is completely and utterly different. And so just the bow itself, it's kind of longer on top than to the bottom, like from the handle. It is a long bow. It's not a composite bow or anything like that. It's a long bow. And the way when you're firing it, or when you're drawing the bow, usually, like in Western style, you draw it kind of to your face, kind of to your cheek of a sort. In Kyudo, you draw it past your ear, like way back. You're pulling it very, very far, way farther back than you would with Western style, and it can be very, very accurate. I think it's actually more accurate to fire that way. You definitely get a lot more power too, but more accurate to fire that way. But yeah, you pull it past your ear. But there's a whole, just as there is with like Iaido, which is the sword art. You do wear hakama. You wear like a gi and hakama.
How do you spell this? I'm going to look it up quickly to see if I get a better sense of it.
Kyudo is generally one romanization of it. And so...
It really is like an off-center bow. I know you described it as that, but...
Yep. And there's a whole very specific way. I mean, there's a lot of ceremony involved with it. And that's really kind of I'd say the more important part of it is, it's very traditional. It's very much about the ceremony around it. Like, just the way you walk up to the target, just the way you like, if you're with other people, the way you walk in line, the way you even stand, like sit down and stand up, turn a very particular way, the way you're holding the bow, the way you, like, every single part of it is very, very specific, very, very measured, and is all a part of a ceremony. And even the way you draw it, it's like you kind of hold it above your head, and then you kind of, and it's kind of forward, and then you just kind of pull. It's hard to describe unless you just see it, but then you just kind of push your arm down, and then at the same time, you're pulling it back, like I said, behind the ear. I mean, you're pulling it very far back and then firing it. And so I know a little bit more about it because when I was going to school in Tokyo, I was a part of the Iaido club, and we kind of had a sort of a club friendship with the Kyudo club, because we're wearing the same stuff. We're all wearing like white gis and black hakama, and both are very much about the ceremony of it and about very specific movements and everything. And so yeah, they like invited us over to, like, fire a few arrows and teach us a little bit about it, and they came. So that was very cool. I got to learn how to, so I do know how to fire a bow Kyudo style. I'm not awesome at it, but I'm reasonably accurate. Because I'm reasonably accurate at bows in general. I like bows a lot. But it's a very, very measured thing. I think Kyudo's it's a fascinating sport, I guess. But yeah, it is more about the ceremony. The name of the anime, Tsurune, actually refers to the sound that a well-fired shot makes, like when you fire the arrow. Huh. It's almost like an onomatopoeia a bit, but yeah, it's about the sound of the shot itself. And it's kind of about the clarity, like a ringing of a sort. But yeah, Kyudo. Yeah, so the show is about a Kyudo club in a high school, and it's not a Gonzo type of, it's not like a Gonzo super sports show like the one I watched about sumo, Hinomaru Sumo, which was crazy, just Gonzo crazy action. this one's very quiet, and it fits what it is because that's Kyudo. It's more of a quiet sport, and it's kind of about overcoming obstacles. It's really kind of the theme. The theme with several characters in it is about overcoming sort of things in your life and obstacles, and sort of Kyudo is an allegory to that. And yeah, and it's about the characters as well. I mean, it's definitely a character-driven drama. The main character basically has a problem with what's known as target panic, and it's a psychological thing that can develop in archers, and in any form of archery. It's like usually affects like when they're unable to aim well, like they can't, once they draw it back, it's just like shaky and just can't aim. It's just target panic, and the main character has it. But but that seems to be an allegory to something else that's going on. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's well thought out. The characters are nice. They're not. I mean, fitting for the type of anime that is. It's more of a slice of life anime. They're not over the top. They're just, it's definitely, you've got some of your kind of character types, but not annoyingly so. And it's a lot of fun, and I've been enjoying it. It's peaceful, and it's the artwork is good, like the animation is good. It's just high quality, and it is a simulcast on Crunchyroll right now, and that's where I'm catching it, on Crunchyroll. I don't know if anybody else is running it, but I know Crunchyroll absolutely is. That's where I'm watching it, and I'm only about like 7 episodes into it, but I'm liking it a lot. It is a great anime. It's just good. I like it there again, but I also have an interest in Kyudo. So I mean, having gotten a chance to kind of actually fire a bow under the supervision of people who know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's been cool. I've been enjoying that. But yeah, that's mostly my week. I mean, more than anything, I've been spending a lot of time on the May costume, mainly at night, like when I'm done with things I have to do during the day, and then I'll just go and start streaming it at night. So, but yep, that's basically my 2 weeks, really. Yep. So, we have things to talk about today.
Are you saying it's time for news?
Time for news?
Time for news!
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of expecting you to cough midway through that or something. That's the spirit. Alright. This one's not really news, it just kind of went... This is some blast from the past of the week we took off because of the wedding thing. I just thought this shit was funny as hell. Lady Gaga got out there and wondered who the fuck Ninja was.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing more to it. It's just funny as hell to me.
What's Fortnite?
And she even spelled it Night. She's like the actual proper word Fortnite, which it's like, yeah, that's... And Ninja replied to her.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, let's play. And he even name dropped, like he was like, yo, Drake's been on my stream.
Mostly the whole situation to me just was kind of like, I think it's DBZ that had this phrase where it's like, what is an ant to a god kind of situation, where it's like, we think of Ninja being one of the biggest celebrities out there, but no.
Among young people,
young people, yes.
I mean, the dude is a super duper multi-millionaire. I mean, he hasn't been in it as long as Lady Gaga has, but he may well end up making more money than she has.
Maybe.
That's how stupid.
That's not the competition. It's more just kind of, it's like, right, there are hierarchies to this fame shit, aren't there?
Well, it just depends on what you're famous for.
Yeah. There's
a lot of people who don't know anything about hockey, so they won't know the most famous hockey players. Like, I mentioned, if I mentioned Brett Hull, a lot of people are like, who? Brett Hull. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but it is kind of, I don't know. I think it's kind of telling that, like, honestly, Lady Gaga is sort of part of the last generation that knows nothing about them video games. Like that everybody younger than her pretty much knows a good bit about video games if they haven't been playing them. So, yeah, but I think that's also kind of shows a generational thing, too.
Yeah.
I also think it's an important thing to remember. Like we talk about every once in a while in this podcast, the idea that we talk about gamer issues on this, and there are larger issues than, or like, if you're listening to this podcast, you are more informed about gaming stuff than the majority of gamers out there, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Speaking of for better or worse, though, remember Pokemon Go?
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that wizard game that people that made Pokemon Go made a sequel, made?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I play that every once in a while, yes.
Maybe you shouldn't be.
Why?
So, this is I'm sure going to come off as kind of tech conspiratorial stuff, and us being like, mobile games are bad and privacy and all that stuff we're kind of known for when it comes to these topics, but it turns out that Pokemon Go to a lesser extent, but especially that Harry Potter game, have been data mining the shit out of you. And I don't just mean like, we know you're turning on, you're sending it your location data and stuff like that, but the amount of time it has spent recording that location data and the kind of specificity it's gone to with said data is significantly higher than almost anything else out there that uses your location data. And also, there may have been some instances of, even when the game was closed, it reading your data.
And now that's way more questionable.
Oh, yeah. There's a more questionable aspect of this too.
But wait, there's more.
But there's more, and this is probably like, this is the undeniably kind of part of this one. But so we've talked about COPA laws relatively recently on this podcast, I think. But a quick refresher is, based in the U.S., it's the kind of digital protection rights of children online. You can't rules about how you store data, kind of all those annoying, like, are you 18 bullshits you have to go through. We all kind of click through and have never stopped a kid ever. That's not just
I've been on the other side of that. So, yeah. I mean, as a teacher, it's like we have to be very, very aware of those laws, COPA laws in particular.
And maybe you can do a better job of explaining this than I can. But basically, it's the idea that, like, this is going to sound maybe unintentionally creepy, but, like, how the idea of children are handled online is different than how they're handled for adults, kind of thing. Like, how data's handled, how photos are handled, how logins are handled. Like, it's all those, like, you must be 13 or older things. Those are because of COPA. Like, every porn site you've been to as a teenager and then just click the, yeah, I'm 18, that's actually COPA stuff in action to a certain extent. Like, it's not just them being like, we need to protect ourselves. They're like, no, we actually have to protect ourselves. It goes illegal.
But really, COPA's way more about how you keep data, and which is why it's relevant here.
Yes.
So you aren't there's a whole lot of data you just can't even collect, period. And if you have it, you have to get rid of it within a certain amount of time. So that's kind of the heart of the COPA laws. That's like, I know that there again, as a teacher, we have to, like, I didn't often have to deal with it because I wasn't in in the offices that kept people's records or anything like that. But yeah, it's like if they if anything, you just can't keep their information, and it's like very limited at what you can collect, if anything at all. So just to get fleshed that out a little bit more. So yeah.
So, and this is kind of what they have done is not in violation of COPA, but it kind of butts up right against the edge of where COPA starts caring about things. The app is very popular with children, obviously, because Pokemon and wizards and all that jazz. It's unclear exactly how much data it's actually stored on children and how well it distinguishes between adults and children. And kind of in all situations where data mining happens, this is all being very aggressively sold. And Niantic claims it's selling the data, not personal information things, but kind of, I'm not sure we've talked about this in great detail in the past, but like because Niantic systems are based off of geotagging you and tracking your actual location, the data it's selling is especially maybe not dangerous, but problematic because it knows where you live.
Yeah.
Very distinctly. Like, and it's one of those things where it's if they are just selling straight kind of user by user data, and I'm sure they talk about how there's like, there's no names, it's kind of generic codes and all that jazz. If you have enough data from other sources, you can figure out who people are. Like, it's with an address, you can find people kind of thing. And that's where the child aspect of this comes in. Like, it's you want to find where me, Henry, or Alex lives, it's easy enough. We've all made jokes about where we live, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you could probably track us down with enough effort and IP access and all that jazz. Like, we're stealthy, but not like fucking James Bond out there kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we're also adults.
And the reason that we actually, and that anybody was able to find out about the level of data that was being collected is because the EU has way stricter laws about what you can and can keep as a game company about people's information, as well as you have, like, if people request it, you have to send people every single data you've ever collected about them under the GDPR. Basically, it's digital privacy. And yeah, so through that, like, actually, like, and Kotaku basically asked European players that had done a GDPR claim about the level of information that it was collecting, because under that, we can't do that in the US. There's no law to force the company to do that in the US, but in any country in the EU, if you asked for it, they had to give you literally everything they've ever collected about you, and it has to be complete. Otherwise, there's like big fines and possible criminal time waiting for you.
And again, like, we're not saying like Niantic wasn't upfront that they were mining you kind of thing. It's like we all assume that, like, it's a game for free that uses your geotagging data. Like, it's kind of a given. It's the frequency with which your data was collected kind of thing. Where most of those I think the average is kind of like, it's say you used an app for 24 hours a day, like, at most you would probably have 24-ish, give or take kind of thing, kind of tags for your location. The Niantic stuff, specifically the Harry Potter one, seems to record your data somewhere between, I think it's 3 and 5 times as often as that. Sometimes in an hour, significantly more if you've not been using the app for a while. Like, you could find someone, I think it was down to like within like 15 or so feet was the rough number they were throwing around for how precise, like, just the frequency with which your data was cached and how specific the data was. Like, it's very easy to find someone hypothetically with this, which again isn't inherently illegal, but like, it is a little bit creepy to think about, especially for a game that's got a very kind of, like, maybe it's not child-centric necessarily, because Alex, one of the three of us that plays it, but also, it was real popular with kids, and I'm not saying, like, you could use this for, like, bad things, but it sure doesn't look good either, especially when you're collecting that much location data.
But the thing is, that's the thing, like, and they actually showed, and within the article, they actually demonstrated by, like I said, the European players who had sent, talked to them about the information and sent them some of the information collected about them. They were able to identify things like, you must have been sick that day, or you go to Burger King all the time, or like specific things. They could identify where they work and where their home was. All these very specific things they were able to figure out. And that's not something I would want anybody to know about my child if I had a child. I would not want somebody to know what their usual habits were. That is wildly dangerous information to be out there. And you know what? As we've already found, like, these companies aren't necessarily immune to being hacked and having all the data about people being leaked inadvertently. So just think if a child predator got a hold of information of where all these children are regularly.
Yeah.
That's bad. That is not information that should be out there. And I think that they'll probably be busted in the EU before they get busted here.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones where it's also like the extra kind of weirdness for me is that they ramped up the data collection. Like if Pokemon Go had more than the Harry Potter thing, that'd be one thing. It's the fact that they essentially tripled the data from Pokemon Go to Harry Potter that they were collecting, and that's, to put my cynical hat on for a second, like for me that's you see what you can get away with Pokemon Go, and then you fucking go for broke in your follow-up. Because you've improved your technology at that point, too. Yeah.
So that's, there again, it's like, and their big defense of it has been, let's just say, dumb and stupid and nonsensical. They're like, well, we don't sell the data, we sell it anonymized. But that fails on its face because it's already, when research has been done, like, they were able to identify people like almost 100% of the time through anonymized data. They could identify who it was. Like, there's been research into that. But also, it doesn't matter if you've sent it out or not. Like I said, there's the danger of, not just leaks, but like, let's just say somebody within your company is less than a trustable person, which it's like criminals don't go around announcing their criminality on their foreheads. So, somebody at the company who has less than honorable intentions could just take that data and do horrible stuff, like stalk their ex. I mean, there's bad things with this data. I mean, that's some dystopian stuff. And I don't have that much faith in a video game company to keep its servers and its information. A video game
company that's shown to not have the best tech. Like, it's...
Yeah.
If Pokemon Go or Harry Potter World were like... Unite, sorry, not World. Like, if they were perfectly running games, I'd be like, maybe, but... Like, with all the bullshit that's gone around with those games in the past, just like with exploits and stuff, who the fuck knows? I'm with you on this one. It's...
Well... And it's just the publicity of this information. There again, like, all right, so I did a thing. I worked on a project one time with an artist in England, and it was a project that basically it would vocalize the tweets of anybody who was within the vicinity of the art installation. So if you walked near it, it would speak your tweets at you. Because I just used the geolocation stuff that's available through the Twitter API. That's all I had to do. Yep. And so, you walk near it, and then you hear and I use the text-to-speech thing, and it will just vocalize your tweets at you. So, I mean, and there again, it's just like, that just shows, I don't know, it's a weird world. And this information is now out there, and I don't know. I mean, it's one of the reasons I don't have a Amazon Echo or anything like that, and I will never buy one. But also, but I've played, and I haven't played Pokemon Go ever, or Wizards Unite, and now I'm probably not going to.
No, and it's one of those things where I'm sure it's like, we know they're reminding us, etc., etc. I don't think any one of us was confused what these games were doing, but. Again, like I say occasionally, if you're listening to this podcast or you're one of us or have you follow this type of news, you are more informed than most people, and that's the problem. Like when it comes to data mining, a lot of people don't put together the 2 and 2 aspect of like what that data means based on what they're getting off you kind of thing. Like it's spending habits are one thing, where you fucking live is a bigger problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about, people seeing, somebody knowing that, oh, this guy buys lots of fake meat at the grocery store. I'm not too bothered with somebody knowing that. I'd be way more bothered of them knowing that I regularly go to this place every day, or I do just to know my patterns of movement.
Yeah, the example I'll use is like, it's one thing to know you have a gym membership to a certain gym kind of franchise. It's another to know what location you frequent the most, and that's the troubling aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to keep playing that. I might uninstall it.
Yeah, that's kind of... My wife plays the game a lot, and I'm not going to kind of go up in arms about it, but, like, this did make me glad I dropped these games kind of hard. Because it's like, I'm like, this makes me a tad uncomfortable, but also, like, I'm sure there's a billion other things tracking me at all times, so... Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to show that to Mandy and see what she says, because we play it, so...
Yep.
And the article's pretty in depth, and it goes into a lot of real research.
It's
when Kotaku decides to do like journalism, they do journalism.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot there, kind of thing. Like we kind of barely scratch the surface. It's if this is a concern of yours or something you're curious about, it's extensive.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do a quickie, quickly, just to run through some of our other news. Last of Us 2 has been delayed to May 29th, 2020. It was coming out in February for that romantic Last of Us to Valentine's Day vibes. That's not happening anymore. I know a lot of you out there were planning a romantic evening of what were they, clickers in that game or something? But sorry, you'll have to find another game to be creepy on Valentine's Day with. I support your creepiness, but I'm still calling it creepiness. This one's kind of a more fun one, so we're gonna do another fun one before we get into one of our depressing ones. Fun for me, I guess, because I didn't buy the game, but if you've been on the internet this week, specifically social media, you're probably aware of the fact that WWE 2K20 is a goddamn mess of a game.
How did they manage to make it way worse than any previous installment? I mean,
so the story I've gotten, and I'm blanking on the exact company names, is there were two companies that worked on this on the WWE games for a long time, and one of them is no longer involved in this one, and there had been rumors for a long time about how much quality control they were ultimately responsible for. And, like, let's take a step back and acknowledge the fact that, like, the WWE games have been on a sharp decline since, like, the PS2 era.
Yeah, even then, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There's been highs and lows since then, but, like, I think overall the fans of those games would agree that, like, anything post PS2, maybe the 360 era of games, has just been a slow decline into mediocrity for those games. Like, they are, while we don't talk about them in the same way, they are on par with the Maddens and the NBA 2Ks and all the other kind of annual games in the, well, it's the same game, except where those games kind of maintain a certain level of quality, these ones do seem to be actively getting worse every year for some bizarre reason.
Yeah. So it is pretty obvious now that the company that's no longer helping out with it was doing all of the quality control, because even previous installments of this had their issues with some glitches, but they were more occasional.
Yeah.
This one is just like, I just want to comment real quick. I think the character art is so bad. Everybody just looks like random dough face. It just doesn't look like anybody.
Yeah,
like they somehow they managed to not get anybody's likeness even remotely close. But yeah, but it is so amazingly, ridiculously broken. I mean, the videos I've seen have just been like, wow.
I love the hair physics one because
God.
As someone who amongst it's not even me originally talking about this, like a lot of people have used the WWE games to gauge where kind of like hair and fabric technology was, because like any high-end company, if they want to put time and effort in, can make really good hair and fabric, but like when that tech is readily available to like something like WWE annual franchising stuff, where it's like, okay, we have to use the off-the-shelf tech for this to make it work, it's a good measure of where we're at kind of as a baseline kind of situation for that. And good God, this game has had some fantastic stuff involving that.
Yeah, the hair. Yeah, I mean, I've just seen multiple videos where just the hair is just, it looks like it's trying to escape this reality.
Yep.
It's like the hair has decided it does not want to be in that broken game.
I think the best ones are people like in like just standing still and the hair going ape shit around them.
Just pointing in every direction, trying to escape this terrible,
like
terrible
they're going
world.
Fucking Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
I'm also a huge fan of the the one where they show the cinematic where the hair is like flying in the back, but the windows are rolled up in the car.
That's one of the ones I'm talking about.
It looks so bad. Or the Goonies looking character models.
Yeah. Also, the ropes. Oh god, the ropes are also super busted.
This is a franchise of like fantastic soft physics. Not fantastic, but like because of the soft physics required for the franchise, like it's been a good showcase for them. And this one just seems to be a shit show.
Oh wow! I mean, they got the ropes so badly wrong. I mean, even previous installments didn't screw up the ropes this bad. I mean, everything is just worse, like way, way worse.
This is a meaningful step down from last year's, which is just funny.
I mean, this looks like a game I made by myself in a month. I mean, this seriously does not look like the work of a team.
Yeah.
And I say that because I can't do 3D modeling at all, so I expect any of my attempts would look about like that.
Yeah, there's an aspect of like someone out and bought some like fan models of shit, and this is what you get.
Fan models are way better. I mean, I've seen stuff
they can also be real bad.
Oh yeah, that too. So they went for the bad ones, the cheap ones.
Discount. The value models, if you will.
I
watched a bunch of these earlier on.
Value model.
I watched a bunch of these earlier on this week. I have to go back and find more of these. Like I'm clicking through a couple while we're talking about this to remind myself, and it's great. Like if you're looking for a laugh, maybe go check out some WWE 2K20 glitch videos. They're pretty good.
I watched where someone got slammed on the cart, and now they're seizuring on the like ramp. I don't know what's going on. What the fuck
I think the best one I saw was someone like someone went for a power bomb, and they went through the ring and kept going, and the screen kept zooming out as they like went below the floor of the arena. Like this kept going down and down, and like it just kept zooming out to the game crash.
Bye.
Yep. A power bomb to destroy the world.
Oh my god. There's one that's real bad. Everything just evolves into chaos. This is a great game. 10 out of 10.
They all evolve into chaos.
Or as IGN would say, 9 out of 10. Something for everyone.
Sure.
It's a donkey junk too, by the way.
Yep. Moving on from that to something more serious, unfortunately. We want to talk about Blizzard, or we want to talk about Fallout 76 first?
Let's just do a quick Blizzard roundup.
Sure. We have more Blizzard news for you, and it's about the news you might expect, given we talked about last episode. There's still a bit of hot water. I'm not sure if we actually put it on the list this week, but that group of college kids that did that whole that kind of tested the banning waters. They got banned ultimately too. They got the same punishment as Blitzchung.
They've subsequently quit.
Yeah,
they've quit Hearthstone, and one of them is going to be showing up at the protest. At least he's going to try to. So
the thing about that one is like we're giving them a 6-month ban, but didn't they shortly after say they were dropping out anyway?
Yeah,
so it's one of those situations where you can't quit, you're fired. Like what?
Well, they just dropped out of the tournament, but now they're quitting for good. Like they're not going to play Hearthstone anymore, as far as the report I read. So they're kind of done with it now.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I mean though. Like the punishment was supposed to be for 6 months from that, but it's one of those like you can't quit, you're fired situations where like they already said they were dropping out of the thing. Like, good job. Like your punishment literally did nothing after the fact that they said they were dropping out in the first place.
Yeah.
But yep. So that's the thing. So yeah, also, I mean, it got all right. We're just talking about the fact that gaming is still a bit of a niche thing, though. The younger you are, the more likely you are to know about the gaming world. But I mean, this got itself a letter from Congress to Blizzard condemning their actions. Bipartisan letter. I mean, strange bedfellows here. You're seeing, prominent, not like random pretty prominent Republicans and Democrats making their voices known about this, and that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's been enough to get their attention, and in a good way, it got the attention in Congress. They've passed resolutions about supporting Hong Kong in general, and cynical or not, hey, more public attention, more world attention being on what's going on in Hong Kong is a good thing in my opinion. So, other news. Blizzard news.
Yeah, so there was, I think it was a WoW event in Taiwan, right?
Yes, it was a WoW event.
That got canceled. Got postponed, sorry.
Yeah, but, indefinitely. It's probably not going to happen.
And I think, days after the Hong Kong situation, like when we covered it, I guess, Nintendo got out there and announced that the Overwatch kind of launch party thing they were planning for the Switch, that wasn't happening anymore.
Blizzard did cancel that one, as far as the news that I read was that
Nintendo announced it, though.
Well, Nintendo.
It was Nintendo.
They did announced it because it was going to be their event, but Blizzard's the one that said we're pulling out of this.
Yeah. The only thing, it was Nintendo store in New York. Like, they were the ones that were hosting the event. So, as the hosts, they said, hey, Blizzard dropped out, so we're canceling the event. But it was Blizzard that opted the canceling of the one in New York.
And to make matters worse, turns out Overwatch doesn't run great on the Switch.
What?
Surprise.
Yep. Runs like crap. Yep. So, well done. Way to just suck in every single way, Blizzard.
Yeah, to put this all in perspective, too, there was some news, kind of comical news on this topic making the rounds, where a Hearthstone trophy for a tournament broke, and Blizzard had to get out there and say, no, it's supposed to do that, but I don't actually believe them still.
I don't believe that. All right, so their explanation was that, so that, it's easier to transport, trophies when they break down. Yes, when it's like a 4-foot trophy, you know what I'm talking about, really tall, crazy trophy, those break down. This one is smaller than a Grammy, and Grammys don't break down. So literally, the trophy that the guy was holding was smaller than a Grammy. It's tiny. There's no reason for that to break into pieces, other than it's a cheap piece of crap.
I'd also like to point out that it actually was powered when it was plugged in, so when the top part broke off, it lost power. So I don't think stuff that's supposed to be powered by the base would, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but
who knows? Yeah,
I don't think it probably goes back together properly. I bet it would. It's not going to light up again.
We're not there. We cannot comment on this. We don't have access to this trophy, but it just kind of felt karmic after what Blizzard's been up to lately.
It's so fitting.
Yep.
Yes. Especially since it was for Hearthstone.
Yep.
Well done. Way to just suck, Blizzard.
Yep.
Just pile it on. BlizzCon is going to be a thing, man. I can't imagine what they're going to be able to announce to alleviate any of this, but
I think they're going to bank heavily on the internet having short memories. I am curious because we're going to have Alex actually kind of keeping up with BlizzCon this year, unless you're doing Extra Life. You're going to be following BlizzCon this year, Alex?
I will be following BlizzCon because that's what I...
Well, you bought the virtual ticket, right?
Yeah, I have the virtual ticket, so I'll be following that, but I'm going to do my Extra Life thing later.
Well, my point being, we have this year, we have our man on the digital street, Alex, checking in from the virtual kind of trade show that is BlizzCon, and then we have our man on the physical protesting streets, Henry, who will be there in person to see kind of firsthand what's going on, and
it's going to be hard to forget
those two things overlapping.
When there's a few hundred people protesting in front of the BlizzCon, it's going to be hard for people to forget about it.
Well, and so what I'm really curious to see is just kind of how, I don't want to say cropped, but how hard Blizzard tries to keep what's going on outside completely unaware to those that aren't actively kind of looking for it, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to pass by us. If you're going into the venue, you're going to have to walk by us, so you're going to find out about it one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't going to be in anybody's face. I mean, that's, like, we've already, made that clear to everybody. Like, nobody get in people's faces. Don't get in their way. Don't stand in their way. Like, make sure that everybody's free to do, but, also, we're visible. We're going to be highly, highly visible.
Oh, no, my point being, like, if you're inside the convention center... Will you it's like how hard are they going to work to kind of keep the reality of what's going on just outside out?
Oh well, absolutely they are. I do
I'm
feel
not
like
saying they're not going.
They're going to prevent people from going in and that are like wearing any sort of protest gear, like Winnie the Pooh stuff. And I think they're just going to face the consequences later. They're not going to care. I think they're going to do that, and I also think they're going to, like, if somebody hops up on the floor, they're going to kick them out of the convention. Like, if somebody, like, asks the question and does stuff about that, they're going to play the ask for forgiveness rather than permission type of thing, they're just going to do it. They're going to go heavy-handed. I predict they're going to go super heavy-handed because they've been willing to just weather this shit storm, so why not another shit storm? If they feel like they can prevent any protest from going on inside, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to go super heavy-handed. They're going to prevent people from going in. They're going to confiscate stuff. Because most of the people won't be. Most people going into BlizzCon won't be protesters. Vast majority won't be. I mean, it's only going to be a handful of people. So, but, yep. Yeah, I will definitely be on the ground and taking notes. It's going to be streamed. At least one person is going to be streaming it.
Or there'll be multiple, yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be multiple, but yeah. So, it's a thing.
That it definitely is.
Anyways.
Next! We haven't talked about this in a while because there's been nothing to talk about, but gaming disorder, a thing that was added to the list of medically recognized diseases. I think that's the concise way of describing it. It was kind of controversial when it got added, and to summarize the idea of the disorder was basically it's a compulsive need to play video games, kind of like gambling disorder or gambling addiction. There's been a lot of there's been kind of continued research into this because it was so controversial when it got added that kind of calls its addition into question a little bit, which I am all for. But not a ton of news exactly on it just yet. But the fact it's an ongoing topic, I think, is worth keeping in memory because it was so contentious when it was officially kind of accepted as a thing, and apparently it's now being attacked for kind of lack of it's kind of like the claims that video games cause violence. There's never actually been real substantial proof of it, and the proof that existed was really not creditable to a certain extent. Like but it's like, okay, yes, this is a thing you can draw a connection to, but here are a bunch of other data points you're choosing to ignore to get to that. This definitely kind of had a similar vibe to it, and apparently this is being called into question because, and I quote, they do not believe sufficient evidence exists to warrant thinking about gaming as a clinical disorder in its own right. Which is kind of what we've always said, which is like, yes, the gaming addiction that people talk about, it's like, it's more of a kind of a compulsion at that point. It's not gaming necessarily. They'd have the same problems with gambling or drinking or kind of anything else of that kind of same rewarding behavior, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, you can get addicted to practically anything, but I mean, the question is this unique enough? Are the elements related common enough? I mean, among people that, I mean, is there that enough common elements of it to call it a separate disorder or to classify it as a separate disorder? And I've seen videos, like I saw a video by Jim Sterling saying that it's fine for it to be classified as a separate disorder, but I think I think there is a question there of, is it truly just being picked on because it's the boogeyman of the month? I mean, I don't see a separate disorder for sports addiction. And people are definitely, I mean, super fans, like
fantasy football.
People use all of their savings and money to buy, paraphernalia, jerseys and stuff, and go to every game and paint their bodies and, I mean, it's, yeah, I don't know. I think it's good to just to recognize that addictions exist and you can be addicted to many different things. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of split on whether it needs to be a separate, classified as a separate disorder or not.
I come at it from the same kind of angle you hinted at, where there are larger, more problematic addictions out that have existed for far longer that we're like, oh no, there's sports fans. Like, the way people talk about fantasy football and the way it kind of can consume lives is something that I find far creepier than, like, if you want to talk about WoW addiction, yeah, that's very real. If you want to talk about gaming as a general addiction, I don't think I'd go through withdrawal if I stopped playing video games, and I probably definitely qualify as someone who, by a clinical definition, might qualify as addicted, given how much I game.
I haven't played any video games for like a week. Like the past week I've been busy, I've been working on the costume. I suppose that's related, but it's and at no point did I feel like I got to play a video game right this moment ever. But I mean, I don't have that addiction. I mean, I don't know. There again, yeah, I mean, I think it's good to recognize that, be aware of new media and that people can be addicted to new media, no matter what that media is. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but it's interesting. I'm glad that there's more research on it. So that's good.
Next, I think we talked about this some in our previous episode, but I can't actually remember at this point, and the dates for this checkout is being posted. We've recorded that. But Riot got out there and talked about how they're turning League of Legends into not just a single game, but kind of a League of Legends universe, if you will. Across-the-board franchise that can have many different games in it, which I personally have always wondered why the fuck they weren't doing that already, but I won't
now
play
they've announced like 5 new games. One of the new games isn't specifically League of Legends characters, the shooter, but all the others are.
Yeah, it's a hero shooter, kind of a la, maybe not exactly, but like in the same vein as maybe like Battleborn or something. You know how well that game worked out.
but yeah,
we'll see where this goes.
They're making a couple different games. They had the Overwatch S game, which I guess is more TF2-esque, is what they're saying?
Yeah.
On top of that, they're also putting together a fighting game.
Yep.
That's been rumors about that have existed since they bought that fighting game studio.
They bought Radiant Entertainment, which was, I think, co-founded by one of the Evo guys, one of the Cannon brothers.
Yeah.
And the game was Rising Thunder.
Yep.
Which, by the way, was a great fucking game.
Yeah.
I actually played it and I had it. It was a great game to play. So I was sad to see that it disappeared because, they got bought out. But yeah, I guess it's going to be based off the engine they were using for Rising Thunder, which was a pretty good engine, really. But
also of note, they're looking to release, or one of the titles announced is basically a strategy card game.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's taking pot shots at Hearthstone now.
I think it's time. I
mean, even Magic the Gathering is. I mean,
Magic the Gathering is just kind of reclaiming their space.
Yes.
Like, Magic the Gathering's failing was we had a bad game platform, and now they have a good game platform. They're like, yo, you like Magic? We're here.
Yep. Yeah, but they've also taken the stance of, we won't censor people with, like, pro-democracy messages.
Oh, sure, and I think I'm just beyond that, though. Like, part of Hearthstone...
Which has already been tested. It already got tested, by the way. Somebody won something and made a big pro-Hong Kong thing, and they didn't do anything, but anyways...
Cool. Yeah, I was coming at it more from the angle of, like, I don't think anyone ever said Hearthstone was the best game to play, card game-wise. Just at the time of its launch and rise to popularity, it was the best video game, card game you could play. Like, it was the best option if you're into that, and kind of once you get above a certain threshold, you're the biggest thing, and you kind of can coast on inertia. And given recent events and just kind of, like, Magic moving in and being like, yo, we're the biggest card game, and now we're a video game, too. Like, it's...
Yep.
Yeah. That is not a fan base you can lock horns with easily and win. They are hard fucking core.
Mm-hmm.
Where to go from here? We don't cover a lot of Fortnite news on this, but that whole like black hole chapter 2 thing happened, revealing a new map, and a tester is getting sued for leaking details about chapter 2 ahead of the event. For the most part, people seem to think that whole thing was cool. I personally want to give them major points for turning server downtime into a event and like really cleverly masking it as like, yo, the world is gone.
They even made the launcher kind of look a little bit different during the event, so that's cool.
I gotta say, for as much shit as Fortnite gets, that was super fucking clever.
Yeah, it was a cool idea.
I mean, they'd have to shut everything down to add everything new in, and it just, hey, make it into good publicity.
Yeah. I would love to see actually other games do something like this. It's such a... I'm not sure other games could pull it off just because that's how like Fortnite has somehow managed to worm its way into, yeah, of course this is what Fortnite would do. Like, yeah, of course. This is obviously the thing you would do if you're Fortnite, but yeah. Still neat. People seem to like it. I think the best joke I saw was like, but what if Fortnite just doesn't come back? They're like, yo, we did the Fortnite experiment, made a shit ton of money. Fortnite is now over.
Right?
You've had the Epic launcher, go buy some other games. That'd have also been a baller-ass move, but they didn't go that approach. Before we kind of jump back into our more gaming, super hardcore gaming-centric ones, the Children's Commission of England has some opinions about loot boxes, and guess what? They don't like them.
Yep.
So much so they want immediate action on it.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I'm glad that, it really seems like the Europe is taking the lead, a big lead on loot boxes. I mean, several countries around in Europe have already taken like immediate action already, and put down some pretty hard rules. And it looks like the UK is looking to do the same.
It's almost like they've picked up on the fact that while loot boxes aren't inherently evil, the way they're marketed, implemented, and kind of aimed at certain people and games and groups is inherently predatory.
But the interesting thing is, it's also, their report that they ultimately put together is nuanced, because it also talks about positive aspects of gaming too. I mean, it's not just kind of like, all gaming is bad, we hate video games. It is, this aspect of video games is been used very, very predatory, in a predatory way, so... I mean, I also appreciate that this isn't just a villainization of video games. It is, this thing is, this particular very specific thing, and the way it's being used is bad. So, I like the nuance.
When the first report stuff was coming out, that they had the whole thing about like, video games bad, and all that stuff. But like, I kind of like that they're like actually expanding on it and doing something with it. Like, I think there was a Jim Sterling video I saw that talked about like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to talk about the psychology, like the effects that these things have, especially when it can be predatory. But like,
yeah,
it also means that you can make it a medical thing where you can get people help for it. So like, it was that aspect that I was like, okay, I understand now where they're coming from with it, like in one way. But again, it also depends on who's handling the data, so to speak. But if it's just presented in that way, it makes a lot of sense.
With nuance and with thought as to, without just a, overbroad generalization or, demonization.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So I've definitely changed my views on when that reporting stuff first came out, when it came to like mental health stuff and video game stuff. Like I could see it. Like it definitely changed my mind after watching that.
Oh yeah, no. Taking a clinical approach to these things isn't inherently the problem. It's what you do with that information. Like it's one of those ones where, like I said, loot boxes aren't inherently bad. It's how they've been used since their implementation. Like there's a way of using them that's not scummy and shitty and predatory. It's just not how they've been used since day one, kind of thing. Like it's like to take something from EA's kind of playbook on this one. If loot boxes did indeed work the way those like fucking Cadbury eggs or whatever they referenced as surprise mechanic examples,
Kinder eggs,
yeah. If it really was that innocent and non-impactful, we wouldn't be talking about it the way we do.
Yep.
But that's not how they work.
Yep.
That's how they've been played. That's how they're marketed. Like, the idea that they're gambling, like, none of us are confused, but they are gambling. Like, it is inherently gambling, but there's a way of doing them that's not gambling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's funny, we talked about the loot box thing. It was something, I don't have enough article stuff that kind of, like, lay it down specifically, but there was one recently involving Modern Warfare, the mobile game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where I guess they have a Halloween event going on right now, and
sure, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so it was apparently, it's not confirmed, but it's been tested by a couple of different, like, Modern Warfare streamers. But they talk about how they have a Halloween event where you can win 10 items from a loot box thing that they have going on. That's like a Halloween thing.
Yeah.
And they actually lay out the chances for you right off the bat as far as what are the chances of each box. But the streamers, they got a bunch of them together and decided to just open up all the boxes as much as possible. And it looks like it was very much skewed because the skin for the character and the gun were always the 9th and 10th box you unlock, no matter what. Despite the fact that he said the chances of getting an epic box are this level. And apparently they tested it all streaming or whatever, and it seemed like the 9th and 10th were always the skin for the gun and the skin for the character. So
it's not just a mild punch carding going on, which I think punch carding makes.
But they didn't say that's how it worked. They said you have a chance for this stuff.
I think that's the thing too. I think punch carding should be an inherent feature of loot boxes. Like, there's a certain aspect of it's like it makes them fairer at that point across the board, and maybe that's not the goal of them. But the idea of, like, to use playing cards as an example, like, even most booster packs, because back when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And shit, they had the promise was, like, hey, you're guaranteed a certain rarity or better of card per pack. Like, it's you could do better, you could do worse, but we're guaranteeing you at least something in this realm every time, kind of thing.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering started doing that some years ago as well.
And don't get me wrong, that's still sucky in its own way when you get, like, your 19th of the same, quote, rare card, but in a digital sense, the idea of punch carding, where it's like, hey, if you get 5 of this thing, you're not going to get any more of them because you've gotten enough, I think. Like, it inherently removes some of the predatory aspects of loot boxes at that point, where it's like, hey, we're decreasing your prize pool exponentially as time goes on because you already have the stuff. Yeah. It's like, yeah, your percentages go up because you've already gotten these things. And, like, for the common things, we're saying, okay, you can get this 5-10 times, and then they're out of the prize pool too until you get all of it, and then it fucking resets or whatever. Like, yeah, it's like, again, there are ways of doing this that aren't inherently shitty. The gaming industry as a whole has just kind of, in broad strokes, chosen to not do that, which is the problem. Yeah. Let's talk about our dear friends Ubisoft before we move on to talking about Fallout 76. In a rare kind of corporate move, and I respect the hell out of them for doing this, in all honesty, Ubisoft got out there and flat out said, Ghost Recon Breakpoint was a problem. Like, it did not sell well. It kind of, like, for all purposes, was bad. The game did not do a good job of distinguishing itself in a kind of overinflated sliver of the industry, etc., etc. Like, yeah, we're aware this game's not selling well. Like, they acknowledged the problems of that game and kind of take it one step further. I think it was their CEO did this. I'm not trying to get his name now. Where is it? Where's the name? Nope, that's the wrong article. My bad. Pause, please. Ubisoft CEO Joseph Guillemot. I'm hoping that's the right pronunciation.
Yves.
Yves. Regardless, he got out there and kind of acknowledged the problem the game's had. Like, the game didn't do a good job of kind of really telegraphing how unique some of its mechanics were. It was a pretty big departure from the previous one. And in an instance where that game was playable and updated till about a couple months before Breakpoint came out, there was no reason to pick up Breakpoint. Like, you still, like, probably had a bit of fatigue, and also Breakpoint fucking launched in the same kind of year cycle as Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which didn't do as well as many people thought it might, and also I'm sure split the kind of military looter shooter fan base, if you will. Like they oversaturated. Like the game did not change enough from its previous iteration or kind of improve, and also it had kind of direct competition with a very similar game. They oversaturated the market with their normal stuff. Like we've joked for years about kind of how all Ubisoft games are kind of the same, and I think Ubisoft is now aware of, our games maybe are a tad the same. And they got out there and publicly stated this. And they've also announced they have pushed back a variety of releases, including, probably most notably, of Watch Dogs Legion, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and Gods and Monsters. These have all been delayed some from their initial windows of kind of 2020. They're being pushed back to 2020, the spring of 2020, or in some cases 2021 spring. So, yeah.
But if they don't feel they're ready, I mean, good. There again, I'm just glad they're like, we're not going to just work people to death to get this out. We're just going to maybe put a little more time into it and put it out and, sell it on its merits.
Yeah.
Sell a working game on its merits.
Yeah. No, and as someone who enjoyed Wildlands enough to have potentially given a sequel a shot until they kind of made it too much like The Division, I didn't enjoy The Division enough to play another Division, that kind of thing. Like, it's Wildlands was closer to what I wanted The Division to be in some ways. I just didn't like Wildlands enough to keep playing Wildlands. Like, it's the setting of Breakpoint, and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit cooler in some ways. Like, I had fun when I played Wildlands. It just didn't keep me going long term because it's like, hey, it's open world bullshit. And I'm like, great. Like the survival aspects of Breakpoint seemed cool. The like hiding in mud and like actual like leaves and stuff by burying yourself. It seemed like a cool idea for a game of that type. It's a little bit sad they couldn't kind of make it work better, or make it distinguish itself more. But yeah, good on you, Ubisoft. How about we get some For Honor 2 going? Just saying.
The last bit of Ubisoft news.
Oh yeah, kind of on that same topic, they are suing a cheat maker for Rainbow Six Siege, named Mizosoft.
Yep. And you know what? Makes sense. I mean, their argument is that it's ruining the game experience for that other people are paying for.
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, that's actually a good tack. I like that that angle that they're coming from.
Don't go after companies like Cheat Engine and stuff that seem to focus just on single-player games or non-competitive games, but like, if you want to go after people that are making the GTA hacks and all that stuff, fucking go for it. I'm all for this. Yeah.
So, it's time.
So unless you've been living under a rock this week or don't follow gaming news all that closely, both the same thing as far as this podcast is concerned, you're probably aware that Fallout 76, in true kind of Halloween tradition, zombified itself and shambled back into the outrage bin. And has kind of somehow managed to reignite its dumpster fire-ness anew. And truly, like, I've never seen a game come back and ignite into full dumpster fire glory this many times. Like, eventually you just assume there was nothing left to burn, but they found more or added more or something. For those not clear what I'm kind of alluding to, we're talking about Fallout First. Despite what Fallout First might imply based on its name, it is not in fact a new Fallout game. It is a paid subscription model for Fallout 76. You know, Fallout 76, that game you could have bought for $60 US, or waited a couple days, then had it thrown in for free with a PS4 controller in certain regions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that game. That game that fucking has done real goddamn well, and I realized the other day has only been out for a year?
Yeah, it'll be about a year.
Yeah.
This game feels like we've been just a fucking train wreck.
It fucking feels like we've been talking about this game for at least 3 times as long as the game's actually been out. I was listening to someone talk about this the other day, reading something, I don't remember what it was, but like the idea that like Fallout 76 and Anthem came out this year, and you're like, no, yeah, huh, yeah.
So let's go down this.
We
won't go too far down the timeline of all this, but if you want a really nice summary of the fiasco that this thing has had,
well, let's cover what Fallout First actually is.
Okay,
yeah.
So Fallout First is a new annual subscription you can pay to unlock certain things that they said, well, the public demanded we add these pay-to-win features. This is what they want, and so they added it. Mind you, that some of the benefits they're adding is private worlds, which is something players have been asking for since the game came out. Well, now it's available behind the paywall. They're adding
let's burn through all of these because there's some asterisks next to some of the things Alex is going to say.
Yeah.
So a couple things
loop back. Don't worry. Yeah. We need to get through this part so we can talk about it in broader strokes.
Yeah. So a couple things about the private world because it gets even fucking
No.
better.
Don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, just give us the list of what the subscription gets you.
The subscription will also give you a scrap box with unlimited storage for crafting components. In your own new scrap box container, a survival tent. So it gives you a stash, a sleeping bag, and more basic neat stuff. A monthly allotment of 1650 atoms a month to use in the atomic shop. The iconic Ranger armor outfit from Fallout New Vegas, I believe it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And a couple of unique icons and emote packs is what it unlocks for you. So, yeah. Mind you, what do you think? I mean, the stuff that you're talking about. What's the cost? What's the cost? What do you think it would cost?
Before we get into that, like inherently, just like having to pay for that stuff, maybe not a great look given all that Fallout 76 has been through. It's to put on my kind of corporate shill hat for a second. I get why Bethesda might try this. I'm not saying they should, but the idea of we have to kind of pay for ongoing Fallout 76 development somehow makes sense in kind of a cold corporate way. The idea of, okay, we have these people playing it, they're obviously in at this point. Like, if you read the Twitter, if you see the Twitters of people talk about this game, they're like, so I was playing Fallout 76, parentheses, I know, kind of thing. Like, yeah, I'm an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Like, people at place are aware they probably shouldn't be playing it, but for some reason they found something to connect with it. Like, we've talked about kind of some cool stuff they've done in that game in the past. Like, it's possible to, in theory, have fun with that game. Not for most of us, apparently, but hey, fuck it, whatever, kind of thing. Like, weird games have weird communities all the time. Like, Destiny shouldn't have made it past year one, given what year one kind of situation was. Like, sorry to rewind some. It's not a great look that they're charging for any of this stuff. Like, yeah, maybe the unlimited scrap box thing to store your infinite number of materials in. That's a little bit pay to winny, but whatever. Like, fine.
Oh, the crazy part about that, because I need to bring this up.
We'll get to this in a second, dude. Like, there's an order. I know you're frothing to kind of get into this. Like, by itself, this isn't a great look. Alex, what are the asterisks next to everything you just listed out as what you get for paying for it?
Okay, so let's see. So the first things first, the private worlds. So private worlds is something they talked about, and they put it behind the paywall. Well, it turns out these private worlds that are getting launched are worlds that apparently have already existed, and looks like players have already looted through the area. So they're not new private worlds. You're just
the alternative definition of private.
Yeah. So there's actual evidence that places and things have been killed and looted already in the private world.
And like also, typically kind of private servers implies a certain persistence to it. You're not getting that. Like, it's if you leave, it basically kind of resets or keeps doing whatever the fuck it was previously.
Oh, it's even better than that.
Yep.
You can't set any invite permissions on it. If you create a game that's a private world, anybody in your friends list can join no matter what. So, yeah.
Well, and to make that worse,
if you leave and somebody stays in the server, it stays up.
They get they get booted unless someone else with Fallout First is also on that server still.
Oh, they changed that then, because I was hearing that as long as somebody stays in the game, even if they don't have Fallout First, the world stays active.
Well, that's how a persistent private server should, in theory, work. Like, you should have... Like, the correct way of this working should be, you have a server, it's closed off, it's invite only, your friends can log in or not, kind of thing, depending on how you set it up, and your progress is shared persistently and across the board, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are these not kind of private sectioned off servers, but if you leave, someone else has to have Fallout first, or everyone gets booted. Which defeats the point of private servers at that point completely. Like, the idea, it should be like a Minecraft server where you and your friends can, in theory, just kind of go on and away from the general public do what you want. But that's not what this is.
Yeah. Thank you, Bethesda. Thank you, Todd Howard. So the Scrapbox. So the Scrapbox was something they talked about originally, and they said, due to technical restraints, because it would be too straining on game resources to have an unlimited storage Scrapbox, it turns out the technical problem was money. Because now, anybody who can have an unlimited Scrapbox...
Now, hold on, Alex. It may not have been money. It may actually be a real technical issue.
It gets better. I don't think it's fucking actual technical issue. So it turns out, the Scrapbox really is kind of like a void where you can store unlimited stuff, because people have been reporting when you put stuff in the Scrapbox, it disappears forever.
Yeah, it's an actual garbage disposal. It's a paper shredder.
Well, again, you assumed Scrapbox meant a storage box. Scrapbox means scrap.
Mm-hmm.
It means, yeah, you've put your stuff into.
I have played Outer Worlds. I know what happens when I hold down the scrap button.
Yeah, so it's gone forever. And Bethesda can't do anything about restoring the stuff you put in there. So if you put a lot of work and stuff you put in that Scrapbox, and it got eaten up by the void, it's gone forever.
I really hope you didn't put a bunch of things you put a lot of time and effort into achieving in there. It'd be a shame if you had spent lots of hours playing this kind of problematic game, and we're finally a place I can put all of my things so I can have it in one spot. It'd be terrible.
You know, I've always wanted to hard restart my progression without actually deleting my character.
Yeah.
If only we could find a way to do that. Hi, Bethesda. Thank you. Thank you for the Scrapbox. As far as the survival tent goes, I don't know anything about what's going on with that one. Is that one actually working?
Sorry, say that again?
Is the survival tent actually working as it's supposed to?
I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm not sure what the survival tent even does.
Yeah.
No, it's a fast travel point that you can just set up anywhere.
Oh,
and
yes,
but it's also a place to sleep. Also a place to sleep. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, which I guess something else people have asked about, but now it's hidden behind a paywall. On a $60 game you just bought at full price.
Well, to be fair, you didn't just buy this game. Now you gotta pay to subscribe to it.
Yeah. Thanks, Bethesda. Oh, and of course they give you atoms, which is the way they're justifying you paying monthly or annually for this. They're giving you $16.50.
Must an in-game currency, a paid-for in-game currency be that they're going to just throw it at you for paying the money? Like, it's
the way they can justify putting a price tag on this stuff. That's the only reason that serves its place there.
Okay. News. The special armor you get through it. It's not working correctly.
Yep, I've heard that one too. It's broken.
Yep. All right. Oh yeah, the camp thing. I read about this. Pets are vanishing because of the camp thing.
Oh, good.
Awesome. So yeah, your tamed pets will go missing forever.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that they had pets in that game.
You know what they don't have is NPCs, because that got delayed to next year.
Yeah, that got delayed too.
Yeah. you know the thing that they talked about that was going to be a nice free update? That got pushed back. Don't worry about that. But this thing here where you can play, yeah. You got to pay for that one. Oh. Yeah. Oh, but here's my favorite thing about this whole Fallout First fiasco.
Okay.
In true really just stupid company fashion, they forgot to secure the domain falloutfirst.com.
Yeah.
And somebody bought it. And
it is worth taking a look at.
if you go
Troll
to Fallout,
sciences are strong with that website.
Yep, and you know what? I think it was somebody off of 4chan, but you know what? Thank you, based 4chaner, for that one. I gotta say, that was
Rarely do we
beautiful.
thank 4chan on this podcast.
I give credit where credit is due, and this was fucking genius. So, yeah, they didn't secure the domain for it, and they put up something which technically I believe would count as parody. So they can't really take it down, but I'm sure they'll try to sue anyway, because the law, when it comes to companies and normal people, isn't about being right. It's about how much you can afford. So, how long can you afford to be sued? Which will be fun. But we'll see how it goes. Nothing yet as far as that goes, but yeah. Oh, Fallout 76, you're just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just, God.
Truly, you are the giving tree of broken video games.
Really, like if you could, how could I describe it? Like this game and Todd Howard is literally the definition of failing upward. Like you just you release this stuff, and it's just horrible.
Well, in typical
somehow,
Todd Howard.
Go ahead, sorry.
In typical Todd Howard meme joke format, have you tried buying Skyrim in anger to make yourself feel better yet?
Oh, don't worry. The next update will include the ability to play Skyrim in one of the in Fallout 76, which you'll have to pay for.
I think I made this joke before we got on the podcast, but like, if they really were ambitious, they'd be working on a way to get Skyrim working in the Outer Worlds. Just saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's great. Like, the game's not even free to play. The base game still costs $40.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, and the other thing is like, well, with the whole private worlds thing, I really question if that's something anybody really wanted, because
it's something that was I saw a lot about it in terms of them wanting private servers for it. Considering so Fallout has always been like a one player single player game until this thing came out. So people wanting to have their own environment to kind of do on was something that a lot of people wanted.
Well, my thing is that it's like there's already a problem with the worlds not being well populated. Like, just feeling empty because, lack of NPCs and anything other than just enemies. And I just feel like now you have a world with literally only up to 8 people in it.
That's going to
feel real fucking empty. No, I think it's only like 8.
It's more than 8.
I don't know.
Yeah, whether or not you could hit the cap was a separate topic, but it's definitely more than 8.
I don't think it was. I'm gonna check that out real quick. But I thought it was like a very, very small number. All right, so yep, share a private version of the world they can share with up to 7 other players.
Sorry, it's just the private version. I thought it was just the general server version. My bad.
No, the private worlds. That's what I'm talking about. The private worlds. Yeah, they can only be 8 people, so they're gonna feel even fucking emptier than the normal Fallout 76. So. Yeah, now instead of like a few hundred scattered around a gigantic world, now it's 8. So, that's why I really kind of question, is that really what you want? Just by Outer Worlds? Yes. So, yeah. I think people should stop buying Fallout stuff.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
There's better options. Just straight up, there's better options.
Yeah, we've talked about them on this podcast, even.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious what's next from Bethesda, in honesty, at this point. Like, maybe not Bethesda, but like this part, the game development part of Bethesda, because the next thing from Bethesda, the publisher, is Doom, and I have no worries about Doom.
Yeah, I mean, Doom sells itself, but it's like it's led by people who know how to make games. I mean,
It did get delayed, which is troubling, but
John Carmack is still in charge of it, isn't he?
I think so. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember if he left the project or not.
I think he's at Oculus still, technically.
I mean, he is, but I also know that he was deeply involved with Doom as well. But That's an example of a game of like tight narrative, great mechanics, and just the game just works. But, yeah. It's almost like it's not made by Bethesda.
Indeed. Yeah, we'll see.
Fuck Todd Howard.
Any other strong feelings about Todd Howard you want to share, Alex?
Skyrim's not even that great.
It's not! Super with you on this one, it's not.
Yep.
Super not.
Elder Scrolls Online is way better.
I've actually heard that.
Same.
Yeah. Heard good things about Elder Scrolls Online.
World of Warcraft can definitely learn from some of the stuff Elder Scrolls is doing.
I've also heard that. I think Blizzard could also use some time not being Blizzard, but that's a separate topic. Like, maybe actually have to try and worry about a game not launching to critical acclaim. It's not all of us thought Overwatch was good. News? Sorry, not news. I think that's it for news. Emails?
Do we have emails?
We do. We have 2.
Ooh.
Awesome.
So that means it's time for emails. If you wanted to send us an email, you can do that at wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. What's that email again, Henry?
That is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
And a third time, Alex?
wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
Wicked Awesome Cast, spells it sounds, down in the show notes, etc., etc. This one comes in from Nathan in South Dakota. Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, last week one of you 3 successfully managed to change your life from single-player to 2-player mode. A phrase I'm sure Charlie has heard way too many times already. Aside, this makes me wonder if any of you have any dating advice. I feel like this question has been asked before, but since one of you literally just finished the quest of dating, I thought it was worth re-asking. I'm honestly a bit surprised that of the 3 of you, Charlie got married first, given all the stories he's told, but I suppose that could be chalked up to podcast personality.
Maybe. Well, I think, Charlie, you've been with Jen longer than I've been with Mandy.
Yes, I think he's more referring to like just some of the scumbag stories I've got. But yes, me and Jen have been together for like I think it's 5 years in January or something around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've been together a while. Like we've been living together for a while, kind of thing. Like it's in so many weird ways. Getting married was formality cheapens it, but like not a ton has changed about our day-to-day life yet since getting married, kind of thing. Like it's the natural evolution of things, if you will. Like, don't get me wrong, we had a lot of fun going through that whole process and all that jazz, but yeah, no, but I also get the like based on some of my scumbag stories. Yes, I used to work as a roadie. Case in point. Yeah. Probably my biggest piece of dating advice for gamers. Sorry, I maybe didn't read that. Dating advice for gamers. Like, sorry about misreading that. I don't limit yourself to gamers. Like, a lot of people get hung up on if I want to play video games, I have to date someone who also plays video games or whatever. And I've done both, and both work out. Like, Jen, girlfriend games exist for a reason, kind of thing. Like, Jen doesn't give a fuck about video games for the most part, and that's fine. But she just knows I do, and you find ways of working around that. Like, I play Destiny a lot on PC these days because it means the TV in the house is free, and as a result, we're not kind of arguing over who's monopolizing the TV at that point. But also, like, Outer Worlds came out. That's on my PS4, and it's like, hey, I got this. Is it a talkie game? Yeah, okay, cool. I can watch that and not be totally annoyed by it while I knit. I think a lot of people have this idea that, like, you have to be all up in each other's stuff on everything you do, and if that works for both of you as a couple, sure. But, like, me and Jen also aren't like that. We are different people with unique and separate interests. Like, she knits and does lots of crafting stuff, and I have this podcast and tabletop gaming and video game stuff, and, like, we overlap in the metalheads thing, but, like, we have as many shared interests as not shared interests, so it works, kind of thing. Like, it's the couples I know that, like, are like, oh, we spend all our time together. That sounds like hell. That genuinely sounds like hell. I love my wife, but, like, I'm really glad we don't love everything the same. It gives us stuff to talk about. They're like, oh, I did this thing you weren't there for because you don't want to go to this. Yeah, it's like with friends. You don't want everyone to be into the same shit and be the same person because it just gets boring at that point. Like, it's like, yep, we all agree, so nothing to talk about, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like for me, straight up, most of the people I know don't play video games. Like, I know more people that don't play video games than do. Same goes for other of my interests. I mean, yeah, my friends, I definitely, like, friends, I definitely did make some of the friends were, from some common interests, but there's, like, things that, like I said, like in video games, well, it's like, I'm a video game, because I've been a developer and taught it, but yeah, most of my friends are not. They're like, most of my friends don't play video games, really, so I mean, that's not a thing that has to be a thing.
I feel weird citing them given the meme aspect they inspired, but Control-Alt-Delete, the webcomic, actually just kind of they did a couple months ago this kind of interesting story arc where, like, even if you're both into video games, there's no guarantee you're into the same video games even. Like, and that can cause its own problems. Like, if you're a hardcore FPS fan and you're dating someone who only plays JRPGs or only plays, like, Final Fantasy XIV or something, you might as well not play video games together. Like, you're never going to, like, it's the decent chance you're never going to enjoy each other's video games, and that's fine. If you're like, yeah, I'm going to have this gaming partner, you might be disappointed.
Yep.
And also, marriage is not the end of dating. People that say that are idiots. It leads to divorce. It changes the rules of some things, but, like, if you suddenly just stop, like, the idea of it's like, oh, I'm married, I can stop fucking trying, that's how you get cheated on and left. Like, that's maybe harsh sounding, but, like, that's what causes marriages to crumble. Where it's like, you stop. Like, the thing a lot of my friends have said over there is, like, it's like they stop trying, and it's like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like my parents still always try to do nice things for each other. Like, this, they think about each other and try to think about, what would make my husband, what would make my wife happy, or what's a nice thing I can do for them, even in small ways and in big ways, and just and they're I guess one of the most successful couples I've known. I mean, my grandparents as well. I mean, when they're around, they also were always just thinking about a nice thing to do with each other. That's a thing.
Yeah. No. It's kind of like whenever someone refers to a dad watching their kid as babysitting, it's like, no, that's your fucking responsibility. Keep doing what you were doing previously, kind of thing. Like, it's not like, it's not special. It's like, oh, he's babysitting because the dad's like, no, he's watching his kid as a dad should do.
Yeah, it's a very completely normal thing.
Yeah.
So I want to chime in here on this one. It's kind of similar.
As one who's like actively air quotations normal dating still, yeah.
So let's see. I want to put this as best as I can with it. I'm going to kind of carry on to the argument you guys were saying about, like, if you're a gamer, don't think you have to find another gamer. Mandy plays some games, doesn't play a lot of video games like I do, as far as that goes. Find someone who doesn't necessarily share your interests, but respects your interest as an individual. Because I'm not into the big lizards and spiders and all that stuff, but Mandy is, and I respect that about her, and I will support her in her like hobby and thing that she enjoys. Vice versa, I will stream and play video games and do that on my computer. Mandy doesn't play along with me, but she respects me as an individual to let me do that stuff. Like, to allow me to have that. And not like an allow, like she's giving me permission. I mean, like, we have our own things that we do. So, my guess, the way I would put it is, don't find someone who has the same interests as you all the time as a mandatory fan. Find someone who respects your interests as an individual. Yeah. Because as soon as you find someone that you're with, if you think it's great, if they think something you do is stupid, then it means they don't respect you as a partner equally, because there's parts about you that they don't like, I guess is the way I would look at it. And I mean, there are little nuances that people do that people don't like about each other. Like, that's a thing. But, like, when it comes to, like, passions, if you have someone who ridicules or just doesn't enjoy that you have this particular passion, it's not going to work. So Mandy and I have that, where we have our own things that make us individuals, but we also have things that we enjoy together. So And that's the other thing too. Like everything. You guys don't always have to be together. Like it always doesn't have to be a partner thing. Like be your own individual, but also be complementary to each other as a couple. That's why, like a long time ago, I used to always have this mindset of like finding your better half or finding like that. That's a horrible mindset to have, in my opinion. You don't find someone to complete you as a person. You find someone who complements you as a whole being, is the way I like to look at it. So, Mandy, for me, complements me as a being. So that's how we work well together. And, yeah, that's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah, I'm not currently dating anybody at the moment. I haven't really been looking to date anybody, to be honest. Like, I just haven't been looking around. But I've dated people in the past, and it's like, and I've generally had good relationships, like, and like often continuing relationships after we had dated. And yeah, there's just a certain thing to be said about, I think you're absolutely right when it comes to the mutual respect thing. Like, you know, there's one thing to playfully, you know, prod somebody about something, you know, make, you know, kind of like have a little fun with it, you know, but as far as like in a deeper level, if you just, you know, respect their choices and you respect each other's choices and you respect each other's wishes and things like that, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's that it, because relationships are ultimately a lot about sort of a certain idea of compromise. And even in that case, it's not really even so much as compromise, it's just like respect. It's just, you know, caring enough about the person to also care about what they care about to a certain extent. It's like, you can, you know, just like you're saying, you can be be dating somebody that's not a video gamer, but if they kind of care about the fact that you care about it without necessarily caring about it in particular, not playing video games themselves, but they, you know, and it also if they're like, you know, even like thoughtful about it, you know, they'll like, you know, sit and, you know, watch you play even though, you know, they're not super interested in it, or, you know, they'll be like, hey, it's your birthday and I got you a video game. It's like, you know, things like that, you know, being thoughtful about their, you know, desires and their wants. I mean, I believe that is absolutely an important thing. I mean, that's really what you want. It's, you know, a relationship should always be, you know, based largely on this sense of mutual respect, and, you know, and because that's where love is, you know, the two kind of intertwined, they flow out of each other, and I think that's extremely important. It's just, yeah, you can support somebody without being a part of it.
And I think Henry also got something important indirectly too, which is like, be okay being alone. Like, I'm not saying like make peace with dying alone or like that you're gonna be alone forever, but like it's important to be able to live with yourself. You're gonna be around yourself the rest of your life.
And I mean, like, yeah, I'm not looking to date anybody right now. It's like I haven't been trying, you know, occasionally I've thought about it, but not enough to really try, and I'm kind of fine being single. I mean, it's like I was just noticing, like, even at your wedding, I was like, I think I'm like one of like only 2 or 3 single people at this wedding that's not seriously dating somebody. And that's just an observation.
Yeah,
it's not like
by that. It's like some people just like it's dating. I feel bad. I'm not trying to pick on you. Like, it's the not everyone's into dating all the time kind of thing. Like, it's some people have lived very happy, successful lives, kind of being in and out of relationships and having friends and all that jazz. Like, it's
yeah. Like, if you're gonna go out and date because you find someone who makes you feel special. Don't date because you feel the need to have to be in a relationship, because that means the person in the relationship is interchangeable. It's not you're dedicated to this person. It's that the person you're in love with a relationship. You're not.
But
in
also
love with
at the same time, like, don't be afraid to just date for the sake of dating, but also be honest about that at that point.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself just by kind of doing things, and I think that's important. Like, it's to get real derivative for a second. Like, people often act like dating just happens, or like you just find people. No, it is a skill that, like, I'm not saying you need to put time into grinding up MMO style, but like some effort is required.
In a way, it kind of
is.
It
absolutely is. Like, it's one of those ones where it's like I went to a very nerdy college, and of like my dorm floor, I was the one with the most dating experience, if you will. And the guys on it would come with weird questions to me, where it's like, "Hey, is this normal in relationships and stuff?" And there was one guy that was dating just this. I feel bad calling her crazy, but like probably diagnosably semi-mentally unstable woman, and he's like, what do I do? I'm like, okay, cool. Here's how you get out of the situation. He's like, you seem experienced with this. I'm like, I've dated enough people that I know how to date people that are mentally unstable. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but like, this is more advanced than you're ready for like a second girlfriend. This requires more nuance than you've necessarily picked up as in your dating experience. Like, if you care about her, fine, but like, you seem to be spending more time scared of her. Like, as someone who married someone he's perpetually scared of, but also like knows how to handle that fear, it's fine. That is terrifying, but not for like crazy person reasons, just because she's terrifying.
Charlie, if you're safe, I need you to say yes. Don't make any noises other than just yes.
Trump is literally a foot and a half to my right, which means I'm not safe. She's looking at me with.
Are you being
no? I am
against your will.
I'm
are you
fine.
Okay?
Big jokes, but yes.
But yeah. No, that's what I mean though. Like it's just it's if you want to be with someone, but don't feel the need to have to be with someone. When I lost a lot of weight, I kind of dated a couple different people here and there, and I learned a lot about myself in those few months when I just dated random people than I did for a long time. And it kind of helped me focus and figure out what I wanted. And so, I can't put it any other way, but like, I feel like what you do is as you date, you're kind of chiseling at the marble. And then once you get a date and work your way through the edges and find things you like, things you don't like, eventually you end up with a statue of what you want.
Sure.
So to speak. And then you can kind of find that, I guess. But yeah, it's I didn't realize we were going to get so deep with this topic here, but yeah.
Thanks for writing in, Nathan.
Thanks
right.
for writing in.
Next up comes from Josh in Olympia. Is WA Washington? Olympia, Washington.
Yeah.
Dear Rick and Awesome Cast, I realized recently that there's an upcoming Olympics. I know the topic of esports of the Olympics has been talked about in the past, but I was wondering if you guys had any non-mainstream sports you would like to see as part of the games. I have an easy...
The Olympic
I'm
Games?
assuming so. I can never remember what it's called. I think it's literally called Medieval Combat. Someone started essentially a UFC fight league that is dudes in full armor
I've seen that.
with like traditional weapons just going at it. And I think it would be really cool to, at the Olympics, finally settle the bullshit fights of samurai versus knight and shit like that. Like, not to the death, obviously, because that's not what this is either. There's like electronic sensors or something. But like the fighting is cool because you get to see kind of the major difference. It's like, okay, it's two guys in full knight gear. Okay, one of them has a halberd and one's doing the sword and shield thing, and just how differently it changes how they two react to each other. Like, it sounds dumb, but like that's what I think the Olympics should be about. Like,
you know what? It's like
cultural exchange.
It seems to be, most of it has been very much focused on sort of, body athletic perfection and not much on mind stuff. I mean, that's where the kind of the esports thing is kind of an interesting look at it and so for me, I'd like to see chess or something like that be a part of the Olympics.
Thought it was.
It's never been in it as far as it. I don't think chess has ever been in an Olympic Games. Now I'm gonna look it up. I don't remember it being. I mean, there's a chess Olympiad, but I mean, there's not really.
It's coming in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games.
Okay. All right. So they are thinking about. It, but it hasn't happened yet. I mean, well, the chances for them to be admitted are still kind of low. So I mean, bridge has even been submitted before.
Bridge,
I mean, in the past,
I will.
shogi as well, which is Japanese chess, basically. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to see something like that. I think because all right, so this is this. I'm gonna not go too far into this because I have long rants about this. It's just I don't feel that intellectual achievements are celebrated enough. Period. Like all you hear about mainly are like pro athletes that are the physical athletes, and and in a certain sense, I mean, I guess I don't like the celebrity culture in that way too, where it's mainly almost entirely focused on just athletics or beautiful people or beautiful athletic people, and it's like, hey, you know what? Scientists are literally making the world better, and intellectual pursuits are more valuable than physical pursuits. I'm going to say straight up. They just are. It's like, I love pro wrestling, but pro wrestling isn't curing cancer. It's not coming up with the cure for cancer. I can't body slam somebody so hard that it cures them of cancer. That's... yeah, that'd be awesome. But you see what I mean? It's like, I have no illusions about what pro wrestling is. It's entertainment. I mean, and it's not gaining there again. It's not it's not curing cancer. It's not freeing, it's not creating democracy. It's not freeing people. It's entertainment. And so, yeah, and I'd like to see just in general more appreciation of intellectualism. Just being into learning and thought and using your brain, because your brain is way more valuable, and I think it's often downplayed on just how important it is just be about thinking and about learning. And I feel like having a better celebration of a real celebration of sort of mind athletes might help with that. I mean, I just know right now, I mean, there's a deep strain of anti-intellectualism in America in particular, and it's not good. That just means that it's like we have generations that have snide attitudes about education, and that's not good. It means that you're just going to end up with dumb generations, ignorant generations. And as well as it's like there's just so little respect for the teaching profession, which I've mentioned before. It's like, I want to see more intellectual stuff included in the Olympics. End rant.
As far as I'm going to take an interesting twist on this. When it comes to the Olympic events, whatever they have there is fine, but I feel like we should have professional athletes do an event, and then right after, have normal people try the same thing.
I've thought this for years, actually.
Just so people can see the athleticism and the training that it takes to do, like, a vault jump. Like, have all your competitors and athletes do it, and then have a representative of just somebody who's like a normal, everyday average BMI or whatever you want for guidelines. Have them try it.
I will go one step further to say, like, we should be rounding up the people that, like, if you're on Twitter talking mad shit about someone messing up something, like, you should be flown to the next Olympic Games, given 4 years to prepare, and then forced to attempt that thing.
I'm down with that.
I am a strong believer that there should be, like, someone in the crowds being like, oh, do you think you can do this? Like, and every person who says, like, it's not that hard to long jump should be forced to compete immediately.
Like, and they just drag you out of the box, out of the seats, and just like, here you go, hop to it,
so you
genius.
Don't think pole vaulting's hard, do you, fucker? Alright, here's your pole, vault it. I'm in jeans. Should've thought of that before you talked mad shit.
Yeah. So that's my angle. That's what I would go.
I'd also kill to see stuff like boxing chess brought into the Olympics, but that's a separate topic.
We need to get some of those, like, the Ocho style.
That is what boxing chess is, essentially. Yeah, it is it is an Ocho sport at that point. Yeah.
So how about pro wrestling?
That would require
Pro wrestling is a
Henry.
part of it.
I hate to say this because I've not said this in a long time. That would require pro wrestling to be real. That being said, if they want to do like the opening or closing ceremonies like a pro wrestling match, I'd be down with like representatives from different countries talking mad smack in a ring.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
We see you, Usain Bolt,
I think that
we're coming for you. We're gonna catch you, literally in speed.
Yeah, I want to see what like mad talk about, like say curling would be, or
I would pay
archery,
money to
or
see
like
a bunch of speed skaters fucking shit talk the curling teams. Curling! Yeah, we see you with your beer guts. And you're playing their sport in jeans.
Yeah, it is one of the reasons why curling's one of my favorite sports. But yeah, that'd be amazing. All right, so there is a way we could fit in pro wrestling into the Olympics.
I think every major sport, like on an international scale, should at least allow for some. It pains me to say it, but like there should be some aspect of like that showmanship, cutting a promo, like calling other countries out, like, not in a hostile way, like the way we do in the everyday to day life, but like the U.S. swim team being like, yeah, we got Michael Phelps on the team again. What of it, every other country? You think you can swim?
Yeah,
you can't swim. Look at.
We basically have a dolphin on our team.
Hell, Spain, we'll let you put a dolphin on your team and see if it can beat Phelps. Go on, do it, Spain. Don't get us started, Portugal.
Or here's another one I would do. Like, let's have a normal Olympic event, right? And let's say that if enough people donate to a charity, you could say, for example, strap weights on somebody's ankles for a swim. And, like, they have to compete with, like, a disability, well, not disability, but, like, what is it? A handicap, if you will. Yeah. So now you've got to swim, like Michael Phelps, because somebody raised $2,000. Now Michael Phelps has to swim with ankle weights that are 10 pounds each.
Or a dolphin strapped to his back.
There you go.
Yeah.
Swimming in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Oh, somebody donated $5,000. No goggles.
I'd be down with that.
Stuff like
Donated
that.
$1 billion. I guess we're electrifying the pool then.
Who wins?
We're gonna
The
throw
audience.
depth charges into the pool at random. Dodge, motherfuckers!
Right.
Sharks.
Okay,
Just
so I would
sharks.
love if, like, the last team, if they start playing not even sharks, just play the Jaws music when someone's about to win in any swimming event. That would make that sport better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that. But yeah, that's what I would go with.
Yeah.
I think we have some good additions here. They should definitely all be
There's
used.
credit for them, at least.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all who wrote in. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Nathan. As always, wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. Send them in if you wish. That does it for this week, I think. It's probably a long one, because we had 2 weeks to catch up through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was an adventure.
Indeed.
We did it.
But yeah. Anything profound either of you want to say before we get out of here?
No, I don't really have
Sure.
anything else to add. I do actually. My bad. Now that I'm not so sick anymore, should hopefully get some streaming happening again. This coming Saturday, part of the day, I'll be doing some streaming with Populous Gaming for the Extra Life Marathon thing. So,
Nice.
Even if I'm not streaming, definitely check out this Saturday coming up, because it is the
Extra
Extra
Life
Life.
is coming up in general. I don't think we're doing anything this year, but you should check out that just across the board.
Yeah. Across the board, you should definitely see it around Twitch. I think Mixer's doing some stuff too, but yes. Even if none of us are streaming, definitely go out there, check out some Extra Life streamers, and definitely donate to some of these streamers Doesn't go to the streamer, but it goes to the hospitals they represent. So I would say go out and do that.
Yeah. It's for me, as I mentioned before, I will be continuing the stream making my May costume. And so if you want to catch that, that is on Twitch at Nomad Har. That's Nomad Har. And I'm Kraken Zero on social media. And that's where I'll be. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram, and that's where I'll be announcing when I'm going on Twitch. So I'm probably gonna, I'm gonna be. I have a lot to do still, and I'll see how much I can get done before Friday.
It's Friday.
Are you ready for BlizzCon?
Yes, I'm always ready to watch
BlizzCon, The Reckoning. Starring all of your favorites like Red Shirt Dude, Cell Phones.
About 10 red shirt dudes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to.
Probably not the red shirts we're looking for. It might be pro. Twist! Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we have anything else. Do we?
There may be news next week on the studio setup. I am trying a potentially desperate gadget to maybe speed that whole process up, but I'm not going to say anything before we test it.
Ooh.
But yeah. Who wants to take us out this week?
I think the married man who
Fair enough. Cue the metal.